I didn't see that game.
Oh, you didn't see that.
I was obviously watching the other game. I
was
happy
trying to avoid that for you for just a little bit longer.
I didn't see any of the Giants game. Oh, no, actually, I did see some of the Giants game because ESPN decided to go split screen.
Yeah, they double box.
Like 5 or 6 times during the second half of the Dolphin game. I was livid with this.
I'm sure you
I
were.
kept yelling at the TV, if I wanted to watch the Giant game, I will switch over to the other channel. I don't need to watch both games at once. Please give me a full screen. I was already watching on a tiny little screen on the airplane as it was. I was not pleased with that.
Oh, wait, so you had the airplane
I had the airplane screen, and then they double box in the second half. So
you're not looking at anything at that
I'm
point.
not really looking at very much. And obviously the Dolphin game was up for grabs in the second half. I'm just happy to be here today, guys.
Oh,
I'm just happy to be here today.
Let's talk about your travel. Then.
Well, if you saw the end of the Dolphin-Titan game, and if you are a fan of the Dolphins, you would understand why I was a little sour during that maybe 15-minute period when the Dolphins managed to give that game away. Well, I was on the airplane when this was happening.
Oh, man.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing that they didn't just stop the flight and throw me off the back end of the plane. I wasn't pleased. I mean, this was a pathetic performance by the Dolphins in a game that they absolutely had to have if they want to get where they want to go. Now, if they just want to be, a middle of the pack in the mix of the playoff hunt, that's fine. But if they wanted to get the top seed, they had to take care of business last night. And despite everything that the Titans did to give them the game
for real
in the fourth quarter, I mean, give them the game. I mean, 2 fumbles on your own 5-yard line in a row. Miami still managed to blow that game. And now we have to wait and see, just how long Tyreek Hill's going to be out, or if he'll be out at all, if he's going to be able to, soldier on through this ankle sprain. Here's the thing that I've noticed in the first 3 quarters of the game last night, guys. I don't know if you thought this at all. Tyreek Hill, if he goes on to break Calvin Johnson's record, has got to be the MVP of the league.
I agree.
Because the Miami Dolphins without him are just ordinary. They are no better than ordinary without him.
You could argue that they're not even ordinary because when he left the game, all offense disappeared.
Nothing.
They might not even have gone out on the field. That's how quickly they were getting off the field in 3 and outs.
No. They could not score from the 5-yard line on back-to-back drives. They finally scored on their last 2 chances from the 5-yard line. Tua Tagovailoa can't find a receiver. He's dancing around in a pocket. He's got an offensive line that is broken down. Teron Armstead is out. Now they lost their center last night for the season. The Miami offensive line is in tatters. But it all comes down to Tyreek Hill. As soon as he goes out, Jalen Waddle completely disappears. You don't even see him out there because they just double team him.
It's not even just that the passing game falters when Tyreek Hill.
No, you can put another safety up and run coverage.
It literally affects the entire playbook when he's out of the game.
Everything. It's a complete
mess. If that
mess.
doesn't tell you most valuable, because all of these things have been true, they just have been able to cover it up because Waddle has not been the same all season long.
The offensive line's been a mess all year.
And they've been able to cover it up in a major way by having him out on the field.
Yeah, he's
and
that
when
good.
he went off for that time that he left yesterday, it was very obvious.
It was ugly.
They were in trouble.
They were ugly to watch. I mean, they weren't anywhere near what the Miami Dolphins have been all year. Tyreek Hill's got to get the MVP vote, but of course, in order to get it, he's going to have to come back and lead them into the playoffs. And again, we'll just see how much pain he can put up with. But one more thing on the Dolphin game, and then we'll go to other stuff. Skraby, you're going to agree with me on this one.
Wait, real quick, before you go to this.
Go ahead.
Yesterday, we had a caller call in.
Yeah.
And basically say that he's become a Dolphin fan because of you.
That is true.
Literally
Why
said
is that?
We asked him what team he goes. I'm a Dolphin fan now because of Chris.
The most underwhelming answer of all time.
Why is that, I wonder? Well, welcome to my world of agony every December then, because December is always the kryptonite for the Dolphins. I mean, they get to this point every year and then they fall apart. But here's what I'm going to say. Just one more thing on this game last night. And Skraby, you can jump up and down and agree with me.
Okay.
If Mike McDaniel hard line again, I am going to call for his immediate dismissal as coach of the Dolphins. And any NFL coach who calls for a fade pattern on the 5-yard line should be deemed to join him. It is the worst play in the history of football. Miami called it 3 times on the goal line last night, got nothing. Tennessee called it once, and they got nothing as well. It is such a bad play. I cannot stand it, and they keep going to it.
Aside from the fact that it's a bad play, the Dolphins don't even have close to the personnel to even run that
right,
play.
You got to have a big – Calvin Johnson might be able to reach up over somebody and make that catch.
They don't have anybody remotely that size. So
anyway, I was obviously disgusted. And, Tony, I mean, just imagine if you're watching the end of a Laker playoff game or one with big ramifications, fourth quarter, calls aren't going your way, team's not playing well, you're letting the game slip away, and you're on an airplane. You can't jump up and down. You can't scream what you want to scream. So it's a difficult evening. Let's just put it that way.
This is when you would rather be in your house by yourself.
Yeah, I didn't want anybody seeing me as I watched the end of this game last night, and I was slinking down and
upset.
Yes,
and you can do anything you want.
You want to, and
curse at the TV,
and
or
ESPN
scream.
Keeps playing this stupid double box. I mean, I wanted to murder the people at ESPN. Like, I care at all about the Packers and the Giants. If I did, I'd watch that game. Now,
I enjoyed the double box more than anything.
Well, of course you might. You didn't have a say in the game, but I guarantee if they did that to a 49er game with everything on the line, you'd be ticked off.
Because I watched a lot of my games on the phone anyway, so I'm used to a smaller screen.
Can somebody tell me why, since we're on the other football game real quick, why in the world were they showing Tommy DeVito's
parents?
No, his agent on the sideline.
Have you
was
seen
he
him?
The guy with the slick hat?
Have you seen him?
He had to know I'm on the field today.
Oh, man,
I gotta put my best.
And he was standing next to the quarterback so he could get some airtime. He's trying to get some more.
I mean, Tommy DeVito is playing pretty well right now.
Hey, no doubt. The NFL is going to be soon banning him from coming on the field, I'm sure.
The agent? Yeah, because he's a distraction.
He's just on the field with a top hat and a zoot suit on out down there.
Oh, my goodness.
Good for him.
And Tommy DeVito showed up yesterday in like a pink coat or pink
He looked like he stole that right out of his mom's
closet. It was
closet.
crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that was one of his mom's outfits from, like, back in her young days.
Yeah.
He just decided to throw it on, it seemed like.
It did.
It didn't go with anything he had on.
Bad.
Nonetheless, all right. That's the football for you. Tommy DeVito able to put together a winning drive to give the Giants the victory and what I would deem the other upset of Monday
it's unbelievable.
Night,
I mean, the Dolphins and the Packers are not alone. I mean, this is happening almost on a daily and nightly basis right now. Go back to Thursday night. I mean, what was it? Pittsburgh lost to New England. Last week, Jacksonville lost at home to Cincinnati. I mean, it's every single game practically in the NFL does not seem to go the way it seems. And that's why I find it fairly comical right now that, the pundits who follow the NFL are trying to figure out who's going to be in the playoffs, who's not going to be in the playoffs based on the results of the last 4 games that are still on the schedule. Who knows who's going to be where when it's all said and done?
Yeah,
I think the only thing that's a decent, sure thing right now is the 49ers. And even they were only ahead by 5 points in the fourth quarter the other day to a backup quarterback. So
do not try to take away from the 49ers.
I didn't take
yes,
away.
You did.
I did not. It was a close game. The point is it was a close game. Every game is up for grabs in the NFL right now. That's all I'm saying. Even the mighty 49ers can be challenged by a backup quarterback, which happened the other day. That's all I'm saying.
That's all he's saying, Scrape. Don't get all butthurt.
You're going to win your Super Bowl trophy this year, and if you don't, it's going to be a complete, utter failure because they're really right now, to me, is the 49ers and 31 other teams.
I think that's accurate.
I really don't see anybody even close to them. The Cowboys might be able to give them a push in a playoff game, but we know the Dallas Cowboys can't beat the 49ers in the playoffs. And I don't see anybody in the AFC. I mean, if Baltimore's the number 1 seed right now, They get taken to overtime by the Rams, who are 4 games behind the 49ers in the standings. The AFC is a mishmash, and anybody could emerge out of there, but nobody's going to emerge good enough to be anything but at least a double-digit underdog to the 49ers in the Super Bowl. And if you don't want to hear that, Skraby, then leave the room. But that's just the way it's going right now in the NFL. These other 31 teams, who knows?
Yeah, leave the room, Skraby, if you don't.
Yeah, leave the room.
Okay.
I like that idea. He's leaving.
Leave the room.
That just means that you guys have to talk for a full 4 hours.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Good
Yeah,
point.
get back
Good
in.
point.
Matt Snyder will join us a little bit later. Everybody is up in arms about this deferral money, and unfortunately for you folks who are up in arms, tough cookies, because this is where it's at. There will be no MLB stepping in to do nothing. We'll talk a little bit about that. We have a Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show.
Oh, it's gonna be a good one today, guys. Good one today.
The Daily
Makes me nervous.
Gambit, Chris versus the Fan, the Big Five. We'll all have it here in our 4-hour show. We'll talk about where Seth Lugo landed as well. But when we come back, we'll talk some more baseball, plus some Matt Araiza news. You remember the punter from San Diego State who has really had to disappear after the allegations? Something new, something fresh has come about. We'll talk about it when we return. More Gwynn and Chris.
when your favorite team loses a big game. At least it does to me. I get sour for a couple of days, and I have to try to finagle my way through it. And football's the toughest because you don't get to play for another week to make up for it.
There's no game coming anytime soon.
No, and then it's my wife's going to want to watch Hard Knocks tonight. I'm not going to want to watch.
No, because
I have no desire to relive the mess that was that loss last night.
I have a question, though.
Yeah.
Why was the Dolphins-Titans game a big game? Shouldn't the Dolphins have just taken care of business against a bad team?
Oh, here he goes.
Well, it's a big loss, okay? It's not a big game.
Okay,
what do you want me to say? I mean, it's a bad loss for a team that I know he is. I
was making a legitimate point.
You're right. It wasn't a big game. It was to me. I mean, to me, every Dolphin game's a big game. You could lose any game in the NFL. That was my point at the beginning of the show that you disagreed with. And the Titans proved it last night. So anyway, I have to get beyond that. There is some good news for Matt Araiza, the Aztecs former punter who's been basically excommunicated from the National Football League, blackballed, whatever you want to say, after all of those charges were levied against him at the party at San Diego State several years ago. Buffalo Bills, you recall, drafted him and then immediately let him go once the charges came out. Well, all the charges have been dropped. Everything, the entire process has been basically dumped in the dumpster. So there's nothing on Matt Araiza. And I only hope, he's 23 years old, Tony. I'm only hoping that he'll get an opportunity, to get back in the National Football League. I know these guys can punt, but he's a great punter and he deserves at least deserves a good opportunity. He was a number 1 or 2 draft. What round was he drafted? Was it lower than that?
I think it was maybe
it was lower than that. But
before I say something, I'll look.
Yeah.
that's a change in philosophy there.
Yeah, that is a little something new for you.
I'm just round 6.
6th round, yeah. I was going to say 1st round. I was a little high, but anyway, I mean, he's obviously a good enough punter to be drafted once. He deserves this opportunity. I think everybody rushed to judgment.
Yep.
We probably did our best not to rush to judgment on this very show, but it was pretty difficult not to, given all of the sordid allegations against him. But now that this is cleared up completely, let's stop attaching a scarlet letter to Matt Araiza's name, and let's allow the kid to continue on with his life. I mean, enough's enough.
It does give you pause, right?
That's right.
When these situations come and there's no information out there or only allegations out there. And then for us who have to come and talk about it on radio, it does give you pause. Like when the next situation comes up, and no matter how it looks in the public eye initially, it is why we all should have some reservation about speaking on it.
I know.
In terms of pointing the finger in a
We
direction.
do our best to do that on this show. I think sometimes people get angry because we're not hard enough on somebody that's been charged with something. And this is why you can't be. You have to wait until it all plays out.
Yeah.
So good luck to Matt Araiza. Good luck to the Aztecs, too, football, that are apparently, in the final running, 3 teams, 3 schools in the running for that big-name quarterback who transferred from Colorado.
Oh yeah. Is San Diego State's involved?
It's Miami of Florida, San Diego State, or Northwestern. What do you want to do? Do you want to go down to Miami and be in the heat and humidity and hate your life? Do you want to go to Northwestern where you're not going to have any time to enjoy yourself because you're going to have to study 24 hours a day? Or do you want to come where it's nice and relaxing at San Diego State?
Come on home, baby.
Come on. So hopefully that quarterback, his name's escaping me right now, but you guys know I'm talking about. The guy who left Colorado basically when Sean Lewis left Colorado.
Yeah, I don't know his name either, but I know who you're talking about.
Yes, please.
Skraby, you look like you're itching to say something.
Well, this stuff happens all over the place. This like false accusation type stuff that ruin people. Yep. And Matt Araiza, unfortunately, whenever you Google his name, those allegations are going to be at the top. And so people aren't going to go searching for the truth. They're going to take what's at the top. And I remember watching, there's a Netflix documentary about some hotel in LA that was haunted. Anyway, so there was a crime that went down in the hotel, and YouTube blamed this guy who had nothing to do with it.
Oh, yeah.
And he wasn't even in the same country. He wasn't even around, but his life is ruined because of these accusations, and these people face no repercussions for it. So I'm hoping that I'm hoping that the people that are responsible for this accusation are taken care of in a way that's fair for Matt Araiza.
You want the people who make wrong accusations to have to pay some sort of price.
Yes.
All right. Do you want to punish John Morosi or the other guy from the Dodgers?
We already talked about
who made claims that Shohei Ohtani was going to Toronto. Because the one guy's apologizing, right?
No, what punishment for those guys is the association with being wrong.
That's enough.
Shall we play a piece of how do you pronounce JP's last name? Is it?
I'm gonna say Hornstra.
JP Hornstra. He was the first person that, quote, broke it that Ohtani to the Blue Jays was a done deal. Morosi jumped in on the report that Ohtani was flying to Toronto when it turned out it was just some guy from Shark Tank.
The way you say that is so ridiculous, but it's true.
It's true. But JP Hornstra was really the first guy anywhere that kind of had the story, and he's feeling some type of way about what he did and the mistake that he made, Skrabe.
Yeah, so he put up a video on X a little bit ago, and it's a long video. So if you want to see the whole thing, go to his Twitter page, JP Hornstra, and you can see the whole 4 minutes. But here is a little bit of what he said and how he came to the decision to put out that tweet.
Words, done deal. My sources also gave me other details about what was happening behind the scenes, some of which I was able to verify with other sources, some of which I was not. If I could verify it, I reported it. If I couldn't, I didn't. The truth is, even people we trust can get duped, and anyone who claims that they know something might not actually know. The extent to which I got duped is something I wanted to take time to figure out. There's a timeline of events in the 24 hours before Shohei Ohtani announced on his Instagram that he was signing with the Dodgers that were probably a lot more stressful for him than for me. I certainly didn't wake up that morning deciding I wanted to torpedo my career or certainly anybody else's. Obviously, we know now Ohtani's going to be a Dodger. He isn't going to be a Blue Jay. Whatever he was feeling Friday morning, it wasn't a done deal. Hedging my original report by saying that Ohtani had merely decided to sign with Toronto wasn't enough hedging, because the deal, to whatever extent he was leaning in that direction, was not done. There were people in Toronto and Los Angeles who, despite having all the confidence in the world that they knew how this would play out, were stunned on Saturday when this did play out. And at the end of the day, sometimes reporters just get bad intel.
Yeah, well, look, it is interesting because this guy's career, I don't think it's wiped out. I think he's doing the right thing by addressing it straight on. But it's going to be pretty difficult to buy into the next report this guy comes up with, no matter what it is, no matter how sure of something he is. So, he had sources. They were lousy sources, or they were at least sources that were willing to make him look like an idiot by telling him what they told him because he went out and reported it.
A couple of things. First part, I said this yesterday. This is a byproduct of what happens when you want to be first and not right? This is part of the risk that you take when you want to be first. The other thing is, fortunately for JP, society has a very short memory, and all it takes is for him to get a couple right where his name is on it. And, we'll always think, oh, wait, JP got it wrong once upon a time. But you know what? So has John Heyman. So has, some of the biggest names in this industry.
Bob Nightingale.
Bob has gotten some wrong. We've seen Rosenthal get some things wrong. Like, that is going to happen. Now, it just so happens it happened to maybe possibly the biggest star ever in Major League Baseball. And so that may take a little bit of extra time, but I think ultimately him and to both of their credit, John Morosi, both issuing apologies goes a long way and letting people know that this wasn't something you did intentionally. You're embarrassed by it. And so now everybody can move on. And hopefully they not get anything else. And, maybe it starts to shift things from being first to maybe wanting to get the story right. No, Skraby says no.
Good luck.
For some it will.
Good luck.
For some it will. The good
I think
ones,
more people just take chances and
They'd
figure,
rather take
what,
the
the
risk.
last guy got it wrong, so be it.
he apologized and he moved on.
Yeah. But
You're
know
right.
what's interesting is if you're the first guy to get something right, we don't remember that either. Honestly. I mean, do you know who broke every single story that's been broken? I don't.
No.
Probably Jeff Passan.
I mean,
I'm just saying,
he's
you don't
broken enough
know
to where that's the thing is Chris
you
is
don't
right.
keep track of it.
If you do it a couple times, everybody will just associate you with being the one that breaks it most of the time, right? I mean, that's the way it goes.
Well, the Shohei Ohtani thing was destined to end this way.
It really was.
Because he wanted it nothing but secrecy. And there was so much secrecy
That people made stuff
that
up.
people started making stuff up. And they ended up making it up, and they were wrong. And so now he's a Dodger for $2 million a year with $698 million of it deferred. And that gets me to think of only one thing, guys.
Bobby
I'm going
Bonilla?
to root for the Dodgers organization to go bankrupt.
So they can't pay him.
In 10 years, Shohei Ohtani will be going, where's my $670 million?
680.
Whatever. It'll be a cautionary tale, my friend.
Don't defer.
Don't defer that kind of money, because if the Dodgers organization goes bankrupt, guess who ain't getting his money?
In 2032, when that headline comes across our iPhone 20 at this
That's
point,
right.
Right.
You're going to say,
Pixel
Chris,
15.
you called it.
The Dodgers fold.
The
And
Dodgers
Ohtani
have
doesn't
folded.
Get, Ohtani doesn't get his
Ohtani
money.
not going to get any money at all.
That would be great.
There's the two things we can now root for.
You guys are cold-blooded.
Two things we can now root for: the Dodgers to blow a chance at the World Series every season, and to eventually get so tired of losing out on the World Series
that they go under.
that they just go under.
We actually have a lot of Dodgers fans that listen to us, and I found out yesterday because I got some DMs for my opinions on this whole thing. I tried to tell everyone that this is not an opinion that's being made because of this deal. I've been feeling this way for a long time, but
Skraby is not. I can actually stick up for Skraby on this. This is not Dodger hate from his point of view. This is just Skraby hate. Normal.
This
hate,
is normal
not
hate
Dodger
because he hates anybody that makes a ridiculous amount of money. Yes, you do.
It wasn't even about
Yes,
Ohtani.
you
It's
do.
not
As soon as
about-
you hear what somebody.
It's what it is. It's about fairness. This is the fairness.
Thank you.
Skraby.
It
right?
has nothing to do with Shohei Ohtani.
Nobody else can defer this kind of money. Because...
No, what I was trying to say before you guys rudely cut me off is I went on my DMs after the show last night, and people were very angry. I gotta say, some Dodgers fans are fair and balanced.
And what did they say? What did those
and they were
Dodger
saying,
fans say?
"Hey, I understand why you're angry, but it's not against the rules. So why can't they do it?" And I said, they can do it, and they are going to do it, but they need to change it. And then the other Dodgers fans are like, just like with pitchforks in my DM. No, there was a couple people that said that I need to some expletives and get the Padres and blah blah blah, and this is what I get for growing up a Padres fan. And I'm like,
they went personal.
Personally, you probably don't know me because you know nothing about me, but anyway. So there.
You want to take us a break?
Sure. Matt Snyder, what did he think about Shohei Ohtani's deferred money and also the Juan Soto trade? Matt Snyder will be with us next.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Let's be honest with it.
shortly. Going to get all into this $700 million, or I should say 680 deferral, and maybe Matt can tell us how the maths.
Do you know how many people on Friday when the Ohtani rumors were that he was in Toronto went and bet
a lot
everything they got on the Blue Jays to win the World Series? Toronto's odds on Friday went from 15-1 to 8-1.
Yeah,
he almost got cut in half. But those people were pretty sorry they did that.
Now, how can you change after the bet goes down like that? I mean, even though the season is not, even though the season, because that's
not how they build casinos, Tony. They don't give you your money back when you're wrong.
I don't bet on sports, so I don't know.
No, you can't get your money back. That's just a loss. I mean, unless the Blue Jays win it. I mean, they could still win it, I guess.
You got pretty good. Well,
but you don't have the odds you wanted.
No, those odds are not.
Those odds gone up.
All right, let's jump to our phone lines. Our guest, Matt Snyder, CBS Sports, joins us. Matt, I'm sure you've heard about this Shohei Ohtani contract at this point, and a lot of people.
No, what is it?
Yeah, apparently he signed this big $700 million deal and deferred 680, and people are losing their minds about the deferral part.
Yeah, now, but he's going to lose his mind when the Dodgers go bankrupt, Matt. You just wait. They're not going to get his money.
For our listeners, and maybe you can help some of the folks out here understand the deferral, right? He's making $2 million a year through this contract. However, there's still although not $70 million worth, still a pretty hefty price tag that's put onto the Dodgers, right? They're paying, I think it's 48. How does the math here?
I don't know exactly, honestly, like how you end up with, because the luxury tax is supposed to be figured on an average annual value, right? And that 10 years, 700 million average annual value is 70 a year, but it's something like 46.2 is what's going to count against the Dodgers for the luxury tax. I honestly, I don't know how that all comes together there with the deferrals. I'm not like thankfully we don't have like an NFL salary cap, and I wouldn't have been a salary cap guy anyway. I'm more like, hey, let me break down Hall of Fame cases. I don't need to get to the money.
Do you see the same issue that some folks see with this deferral money and it helping the Dodgers? I don't either. I'm trying to see what I'm just trying to see,
because it's not, and that's the thing. It's not a hard salary cap, first of all. Second of all, Ohtani is essentially costing himself money by delaying those payments for years in advance when there could be a bunch of inflation, but there's no interest added on or no extra dollar value. If he would have had the 10,700, evenly divided throughout the years or even front loaded, that's a lot more money to him in the long run than it is the way he's doing it. So he's actually costing himself money by doing that. And he's not doing it so much to circumvent the luxury tax, which again, it's not a hard salary cap. So who cares? That's just money out of the Dodgers pocket. And the Dodgers ownership has plenty of money. But he is trying to do, like, you guys will have more money out of your pocket to spend in the current on free agents. And that is, I mean, it's relatively speaking, let's not paint him as Mother Teresa or anything, but that is kind of noble.
Right.
Matt, I want to ask you about Friday. From your perspective as a reporter that's out there always looking to break a story, what kinds of things did you hear Friday? Did you believe, as many did, that he was actually headed to Toronto? Were you not quite buying that? Take us through those 24 hours from your perspective.
I thought it got all kinds of stupid. I will say, honestly, I did think that he was probably going to Toronto, but I did not think it was to announce a signing, because it didn't make sense to me that he had to be there to announce a signing. I thought, because remember the start of the previous week, Monday, which was the winter meetings, there was reporting, and it was essentially confirmed by the Blue Jays that he toured their spring training facility in Florida, but he had not visited Toronto yet. So I thought he was just visiting Toronto. And then when there was that report that Kikuchi had like a reservation for 50 at a sushi restaurant, I forgot about that one. Yeah, I thought, again, if that is actually lining up with it being Ohtani, that seems reasonable, and that totally lines up with him just visiting Toronto and not signing a deal. So I thought, I was even trying to say to some of our editors, like, settle down. He's not signing with the Blue Jays today. I think he's just visiting. Sure enough, I looked like a genius then when he signed with the Dodgers the next day. But I don't. I wasn't saying any of this stuff publicly because I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Not a great look on the people who went a little crazy and thought it was legit. I also honestly don't think it was a great look for some other members of the baseball media to go crazy and act like it's such a terrible day by the baseball media world. There were like 2 people made mistakes. And at least John Morosi, who is legitimately one of the nicest guys in media,
no doubt,
straight up owned it, apologized right away, was completely accountable about it. It's not the end of the world, man. I mean, I'm sorry that some Blue Jays fans got their hopes up, but such is life.
Yeah, no, and JP did the same thing here today. He released his apology, and these things happen. These aren't the first 2 to ever do it. They won't be the last 2, certainly, to ever have one of these things go the wrong way. Now, let's talk about the whole idea that Shohei had basically a gag order. There was a lot of people up in arms in that, but in essence, you can make the argument that it ended up getting to a number that maybe we didn't think of because of that. No teams had any numbers to compare it to. It was
true.
It was just the teams that we knew. This is the first time that I can remember us not having a number to base this off of.
So the game that is usually played, and the best at it is Scott Boras. You always mysteriously see a leak that it's always a Boras client, right? Yeah. Oh, I'm hearing now the offer is over $220 million. And not only is it teams X, Y, and Z, but there's a mystery team involved now. Yeah, the mystery team is Boras Corp. Come on. The thinking was always, and it makes sense, if a team really wants a player and they see a number out there higher than theirs, then they will offer higher than that number. This might reset the curve there in terms of nobody knew, so maybe the Dodgers kept going higher and bidding against themselves just to make sure nobody beat them.
Yeah.
It's possibly a new way to think about it. And like, I have cautioned people on a lot of the reactions to this, like, let's not go crazy with, hey, this sets precedent for this, and this, because who else is Shohei Ohtani?
Right.
I mean, nobody else is a Cy Young caliber pitcher and one of the best sluggers in the league. So it's not like we can say, oh, there's going to be so many more guys approaching 700 million. No, there aren't. Not for decades. But as you mentioned, I hadn't even thought about it before, but it's a great point. The bidding process, maybe that will start to become more of the norm because it probably worked.
Matt Snyder, CBS Sports, is our guest. Obviously, Ohtani is the big news in baseball. My last question on him. Take us through the Dodgers now for the next year or 2. I mean, what are they going to look like? What are they going to do with him as a pitcher, in a couple of years? I mean, they're getting 2 superstars if he ends up coming back to pitch. They
need those, though.
Yeah. So, where else do they still need help? Or, I mean, because people are just like giving them the championship right now. And I don't know that that's not jumping the gun a little bit. Yeah.
No. They can't be done yet, because if you look at the rotation right now, remember, Ohtani can't pitch this year. Walker Buehler is coming off Tommy John surgery. Then you've got Bobby Miller, who was a rookie last year and didn't get to 125 innings. It was like 124 in third. Their number 3 right now would be Ryan Pepio, 78 innings of MLB experience. After that, Ryan Yarbrough should probably be in the bullpen. Emmett Sheehan, rookie, hit or miss. Then it's Gavin Stone as their 6th starter. They need probably 2 starters if they need to get where they're going to be. I do expect them to be all in on Yamamoto. Then they'll probably trade, maybe they trade for somebody like Corbin Burns or Shane Bieber or Tyler Glasnow. But as currently constructed, they do not have a rotation. Also, the back half of that lineup. Okay, so let's be clear. Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, ridiculous. Absolutely absurd top 3 in the lineup. One of the best we've ever seen. It's 3 MVPs in the same lineup. But then you get Will Smith and Max Muncy. Pretty good to really good hitters, depending on how they're going at the time. The bottom of the order, James Outman, Chris Taylor, Jason Hayward, Gavin Lux. Lux coming off the torn ACL. Still haven't really seen him break out. A lot of question marks there, and they had a top-heavy offense last year, and they failed in the playoffs. And let's remember, Shohei Ohtani is not replacing all zeros in the lineup. He's replacing J.D. Martinez, who was an all-star DH who had a really good year last year with 33 homers and over 100 RBIs. So I do think that they're going to get 2 starting pitchers. I do think they're going to go into the year as the best team in baseball and the World Series favorite. but I don't think that we should be going crazy and acting like they're the best team in baseball right now, or it's automatic that they're going to win it all.
They certainly have a lot of holes now. Typically, the Dodgers, the way they operate is those young pitchers that were okay to above okay get better the following year, and maybe that fills the hole. Maybe that's what they're thinking, but they certainly.
But they'll also be careful with their workload.
That's right. That's right. They'll certainly kind of baby them as we saw them do Urias for quite some time there in LA. Who do you think the next domino? It seems like Yamamoto is the next domino to fall, followed maybe by Blake Snell. How quickly do you think this comes together in either case here in the next couple of weeks?
Well, Yamamoto's got a date on it. It's not until January 4th, but he does have to sign by January 4th or else he can't come to Major League Baseball this season. So I do think that they don't want to get up against that deadline, and it seems like the rumors are starting to get hot around him. So probably Yamamoto and then Snell after that. I thought maybe Cody Bellinger would be the next position player to go because he's the biggest name left, but he's also a Boras client, and I know there's a lot of questions about how real his offensive bounce back was last year in terms of can he sustain it moving forward. And when that's the case, it leads me to believe that Boras will believe Bellinger's offers are lowballing them, which means he's content to wait into January and February and hopefully not March. But maybe Matt Chapman on the position player side. There are several teams that have some deep-ish pockets that could use third baseman help right now. Maybe the Mets, maybe the Cubs. We'll see what the Blue Jays do. I think they'll probably pivot to Cody Bellinger. Those are the biggest ones right now. Who should go next?
Matt, who should the Padres sign given what's available, given their situation after the Soto trade? I don't know that there can be set on their starting pitching yet because I don't know that they can guarantee any of these Yankee guys are gonna slot in other than Michael King. They now need a center fielder and a left fielder because they traded Grisham and Soto.
Yeah.
So where should they be looking based on what's out there?
Well, on the starter, and I've mentioned him before with you guys, and I still think it's worth kicking the tires on Lucas Giolito and seeing what kind of deal is being offered. If the Padres are comfortable with the payroll enough to do something like a 1-year, $20 million deal on Giolito, I don't know if they would want to do that, but it's only a 1-year commitment. That would be something to try to reestablish value, not unlike what Cody Bellinger did with the Cubs last year. You reestablish your value on a 1-year deal after a terrible year, then you hit free agency again. That's something that could be mutually beneficial. In terms of the position players, again, it's tough to know because you don't know how much money they want to spend. I mean, we've seen reports all over the place, but there are some cheaper guys who you could take chances on who could fill a gap. I don't know what Michael Brantley is going to get, for example, but that's somebody he's long hit for good average. He can play left field, but he's getting up there in years.
Yeah.
And he's been hurt a lot the last 2 years, so you don't know what you're going to get. But again, if you can't spend that much money, these are the kind of risks you have to take.
Yeah.
Because then you can get somebody cheaper, and then you hope that there's big upside there. He's probably the first one that comes to mind there. If you're looking at somebody similar to Grisham, glove first with some offensive upside, maybe Michael A. Taylor. Again, depending on how cheap you can get him, something like that could work.
Yeah, the Padres' options, or I should say holes, are plenty, and the options I think are few in terms.
They're dwindling
at that price tag. As always, Matt, appreciate you coming on, spending some time with us. We'll do it again, maybe in the next couple of weeks as more people come off the board.
Sounds good to me.
We appreciate
Take care, guys.
Matt. Thanks.
Matt Snyder, CBS Sports, there on Gwynn and Chris. Yeah, lot of things for the Padres still to address. Still quite a bit of time to do it. But what pool are they swimming in?
Yeah,
is the question.
It is a question. And how many season tickets are you going to buy out there if Michael A. Taylor's the center fielder and Michael Brantley's in left? I'm not. It's different from where they were. Brantley, we love.
We could see
We've
him.
talked about
I could see
that.
him as a DH, right? Because the Padres don't have one of those as we speak right now. And
Brantley would be perfect there.
But
And Michael A. Taylor's not going to move the needle, but that might be what they need. I mean, somebody to bat 8th or 9th, hopefully hit a little better than Grisham did.
In the same way
track down fly balls.
They may have to, in the same way that they had to do last year with the rotation and bringing in Walker and Lugo. They may have to do that on the position player side a little bit this year. We'll see.
Unless they get Jung-Hoo Lee.
They can certainly make some trades, too, that could change that.
Or get the Korean.
Or get Hung-Ho.
And now Hung-Ho? Are you sure it's Hung-Ho? Are you sure it's not Jung-Ho?
It could be Jung-Ho.
I don't know.
Or
Young-Ho?
Yeah, maybe.
Could be any of those.
If you know, hit us on the chat. Let us know which one.
Tony likes Hung-Ho.
Well, I think that's how it is. I think
it is.
Well, maybe
I think it is.
If it is, then it is.
All right. Well, we're going to go with that then, until we're told otherwise.
Okay.
Chris, I don't know if you saw this. The Bulls. I didn't know that they didn't have a Ring of Honor, but they're about to have an inaugural one, and there could be some TMZ type beef involved. I'll explain.
Michael Jordan keeping Horace Grant out of there again?
No, it's not Michael and Horace. It's Michael and
Scotty. I knew it.
More Gwynn and Chris on the way.
body and spirit till about 4:30. That's when the Lakers tip off in Dallas against the Mavericks. Then he'll start going Looney Tunes in here. But yeah, we can.
The camera has kept me in check the last couple
That's right.
Days.
Yes, the cameras now are on you. We stream the program. You can watch on YouTube and just search for 97.3 The Fan. And you can watch us work. The Chicago Bulls did announce today what every lousy team announces when they're terrible now but had some great moments in the past. The Bulls announced that they're going to honor their past with a ring of honor they're going to put up at the United Center. I mean, that's a good idea. You know, like I said, there's nothing to see there this year. But certainly people will want to honor Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. I mean, you got to put them in.
Yeah. No, this is not this is no brainer.
I mean, there's no way you can have a ring of honor without Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen both in there.
The inaugural class will have Phil Jackson, Jerry Krause,
Crumbs,
Artis Gilmore, Jerry Sloan, Tony Kukoc, Bob Love, Chet Walker, Johnny Redker, Tex Winter, and Dick Klein. You have to have all of those people we mentioned. The only reason why I brought it
and
up,
Rodman's
and Dennis Rodman, is to bring it up is because for those who may not have been following Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, Scottie since the Last Dance document has seemed to sour on Michael a little bit.
When he was already kind of in the middle to begin with.
He was.
Yeah.
Now he is soured on him, and now to make matters worse, I only know this because I have a wife that participates in
too.
housewife shows.
Yes.
And Michael's son Marcus is now engaged to Scottie's ex-wife.
That's right.
So I can only imagine.
And they show them on the Real Housewives show together all the time. Yeah, it's a big deal.
I can't imagine that this leads to a comfortable Ring of Honor ceremony.
No. But I also, I mean, why should Scottie Pippen hold Michael Jordan responsible for this?
I don't know, but he seems to be holding responsible for everything else.
What did Michael Jordan have to do with this? It's his son. It's Scottie Pippen's ex-wife.
I don't know.
It's a bit of it makes for strange bedfellows, but I don't know that this is a blame on Jordan. Scottie Pippen.
Once Scottie started going the route of Michael wouldn't have been anything without me.
Yeah,
that's
he
where
lost everybody. He lost everybody there.
Yeah.
I mean, you were the greatest Robin, and maybe in the history of sports,
even to this day,
to Batman. There was nobody better as a sidekick than Scottie Pippen. Why not be the greatest sidekick of all time? Who else was better? You know
maybe
what I mean?
Kobe, but that's all right.
Right, Kobe was there, but I'm just saying. I mean, Kobe to me might have been the star. I mean, Shaq, I know would think he was, but they were both kind of on equal footing. To me, Michael's always going to be a level above somebody.
Michael may not have won anything without Scottie, but he certainly was already the face of the league when Scottie arrived at that point. So,
yeah. Well, he thinks differently than many of us. Speaking of people who think differently than many of us, Matt Skraby has put together today's Daily Gambit. And we will get to that shortly. Coming up on the program at the bottom of the hour will be another round of Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show. Make sure you tune in for that. But right now, let's find out about some of the winners and losers in the sports world.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo! If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in The Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit, our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. On TV, we're watching Tommy DeVito's agent celebrate in the crowd, and good for him. But it's a scene, this whole Tommy DeVito movement.
Well, it's New York.
It is New York.
Why
You're
would you
right.
expect anything
And he's
different?
playing well, and he has the Giants winning when everybody thought the Giants were done early in the year.
Oh, they're still done.
I mean, they're still done, but
That
they're
hasn't
more
changed.
competitive than anyone
Yeah,
ever
they're
thought.
playing
The
some-
only team in the NFL that has clearly given up and has no hope right now
The Dolphins.
is the Chargers. And don't be an idiot.
The
Okay.
Chargers have given up.
I said that yesterday.
You know when your quarterback is done for the season on 2 broken middle fingers. It's definitely a tough year.
The Panthers right now are a tougher out than the Chargers.
Maybe.
I mean, I really
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe.
I cannot believe the Chargers coach is still there. I mean,
Remarkable.
everyone around football continues to remark
It's
just how
remarkable.
clueless this guy is. Now, I don't know X's and O's the way a lot of the pundits do. I can't watch a game and go, oh, man, that was this, that was bad. But people who watch football just say, Brandon Staley, it's clear.
Yeah.
If you watch the game, he doesn't know what he's doing.
So there's a lot
That's
of mistakes.
unbelievable.
A lot of mistakes.
All right.
Justin Herbert should just walk into the office and just put up both of his middle fingers that he's broken that are now casted.
Well, the
Be
problem,
like,
the
bring
problem,
me some help.
let me tell you something. The injury to Justin Herbert might be the worst thing that ever happened to the Chargers, not because of Justin Herbert being out, but because somebody somewhere, namely King Spanos, might stupidly believe that that's the reason why the team failed this year.
Oh, you think they're going to keep? No. Wow. That could happen, but that would be wild if it's
Well,
week,
they've kept-
it's week
they've kept-
14 that he
They've
just
kept Tom Telesco this long, and
they
they've
have.
and what's Dean Spanos going to do? Fire his son? His son runs the organization and is obviously clueless, just like his dad.
Yeah.
I mean, you there's no way out if you're the Chargers organization. It's really sad for those people that still like them.
Sad, but not my problem. So
True that.
I'm going to move on. Last night, my parlay was a Saquon Barkley, just 1 touchdown, receiving or rushing, didn't matter. He did get that. He had 2 touchdowns last night.
I'm sure.
Okay.
he did.
Romeo Dobbs touchdown, anyone? He was targeted in the end zone, but he did not actually catch a target
Didn't
in
happen
the end
for him.
zone.
Did somebody tell you that was going to be your downfall yesterday?
Well, yes. The downfall was actually Tyreek Hill. I had him over 108.5 yards.
So you had
and
2 downfalls.
He just stood on the sideline all night and watched the game.
I mean, his ankle was facing a different direction at
I
one
could
point.
have given him a ticket if he wanted to just watch the game.
Somebody had fantasy implications on that.
Oh, no. I just had parlay implications on that.
Well, you never
so-
win those, though.
that
So why
one
were you
died.
upset?
Because I thought that one was coming true. So here's a couple that I found from my Bleacher Report betting, and it's the Chargers over-under results the last 5 seasons. I guess you just have to take the under on anything the Chargers do. For the last 5 seasons, they have been under their Vegas win total. This year it was 9.5, and they're not going to reach 10 wins. Last year it was 10.5, but each year they're under, which is a trend. In my
They're
opinion.
the only team in the NFL that has been under each of the last 5 years. Did you say that?
I did not say that.
Yeah, they're the only team. Every team has exceeded expectations at least once in the last 5 years,
Except for
except for the Chargers.
And when did Staley take over? The other one was, if you're going to bet something, don't bet this, but it ended up working out for the person. It was a 2-leg parlay. They bet the Miami defense, the first touchdown score of that game, which did happen on like a little pick 6.
Right.
And then it was a Jaden Reed first touchdown scored in the game.
Got them both.
And they
huh?
got them both.
Got them
Good for them.
both. And so they bet $10, $3,100 payout.
You know,
on
you
that
never
one.
have that. Don't take that as like,
No,
I'm
that's
gonna have this
that
kind
is
of luck, because
complete.
you never have
No,
that kind of
that
luck.
is complete and utter blind luck right there. You
that's
cannot
exactly
predict in 2 separate games who scores first ever.
That person did it.
Yes, the Upper Hand Fantasy Podcast brings you the latest news and player insights to help you win and avoid any embarrassing league punishments, in-depth analysis, start-sit questions, and everything you need for your fantasy team. Download Upper Hand Fantasy on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Chris,
Yes.
I have no bets today.
All right, I do. I have some. Did you guys bet anything yesterday?
No.
No. All right. So last week's results are in. I went 9-14-1, which is awful. You guys both tied 16-7-1.
That's a pretty good week.
That is
It's a pretty good week for both of you guys.
They'll
The
not
tie,
have
if
it
you're
again.
wondering, was Purdue Alabama basketball on Saturday.
Yeah.
Purdue was favored by 6 and they won by 6. Speaking of that, how about the Aztecs win? Was it Friday night over
Friday.
UC Irvine or Saturday night?
Yeah.
63-62. They scored 5 points or 6 points in the last 30 seconds.
Pulled it out of
Pulled
the
a
depths.
rabbit out of the hat. Some people are like upset that the Aztecs are not dominating everybody.
Nope. Not me.
Not me either. They're 8-2. They're not in the rankings, but this team continues to make huge strides, and to win without Jaden Ledee and to really find out he wasn't playing pretty much before game time and have to adjust to that.
To me, basketball is not football. Like if you're on the field with a team, you should just be dogging some team and beating. There's value in having to win these type of games early in the season. Games that you should win, but for whatever reason, whether it's somebody out, not shooting the ball well, not doing something well enough, you find a way to win. These are character building games to me.
They've had 8 wins this year, 2 in overtime and 2 by 1 point on a last second shot. Mark Ziegler pointed out that in their last 15 games that have gone to overtime or been decided on the final play, they've won all 15.
Yeah.
That's not luck. That's a trend.
Yeah.
15 in a row. So, I don't know what else you want. They play exciting, great games, and they win. So, good on them.
Stop complaining.
All right, here's tonight's bets. Lakers at Dallas, straight up on the spread. Lakers by 4. On the road, Lakers coming off of their victory in the inaugural NBA Cup, something I'm sure you celebrated yesterday, Skraby.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right. I did.
Yeah, why not?
Go Lakers.
Yeah, they're going to hang a banner for that.
Yes,
We're going to talk about this in the Big Five. It's very controversial.
We're going to hang a banner. Absolutely.
Tony, I'm sure you're taking the Lakers -4 here.
You already know.
Even though on the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who they play? Oh, the Mavs.
At Dallas. I'm going to take Dallas. I think the Lakers are getting overblown here because of their NBA Cup win. Dallas is good.
We're dialed
unless Doncic isn't playing, but I haven't heard that. So I'll take Dallas. Skraby, who do you like?
Baby.
The Lakers won their championship,
baby.
And so now that they have nothing else to play for, they're just going to cruise the rest of the way. So I'm going to take the Mavs.
And wouldn't it be just like the luck that Anthony Davis has? He had the game of his, life the other night.
40-20-5.
41. Was it 41-25?
No, 40-20-5.
40-20-5. And guess what? The stats do not count from that game.
They don't.
He'll get no credit for that anywhere in the history books.
Unlike the semifinal game and all the other games, the championship game does not count as an actual
doesn't count as on the standings, and it doesn't count on your stats.
Yeah.
So Anthony Davis has a huge game. He'll get no credit for it.
They made that way too complicated. This whole
it's only complicated for you.
They really, truly did not make it that complicated.
But now they have a game that they're playing that doesn't mean anything, and so his stats are going to go nowhere, even though all the other games were played during the regular season.
No, everybody had an
Let's
81.
move on from this argument. We've been doing this with him for weeks and weeks and weeks.
We're not doing this.
Clippers are home to Sacramento tonight. The Clippers are favored by 3.5. Clippers are 12-10. Sac is 13-8. So they're close in the standings. Skraby, who'd you take in the Laker-Dallas game, by the way?
Mavericks.
Okay.
I didn't hear my 18-minute explanation.
I didn't.
Tony's giving me the Justin Herbert.
Clippers seem to have figured things out a little bit.
They have.
They've won 4 in a row. Sacramento's awfully good, though.
They are.
I'm going to just on a whim take the Clippers here, -3.5. But that should be a close game. Skraby?
King me.
Kings for you. Tony Gwynn Jr.?
Queens. Kings.
Oh, wow.
Kings. Excuse me.
All those Kings fans are so hurt out there right now.
Donovan Mitchell of the Cleveland Cavaliers ventures into Boston tonight to take on the Celtics. Donovan Mitchell's over-under number is 26.5 points tonight. And Skraby, you are first. Trying to look up his scoring average right now.
I'm guessing it's around 26.
It's a little over that, 27.3. He's playing the Celtics.
I'm going to say under.
I'm going to say under tonight. Okay. I've been so ice cold. Tony, you've been right. You've been red hot.
Yeah.
Who do you like here?
Who are they playing again?
At Boston In the Garden. Or the old. Yeah, I guess it's still the Garden. I'm going to go over. I'm going to go with Tony just because he's been on a roll. I'll go over. I have no idea. A couple of quick college basketball games. You'll like one of these, Skraby, but this one is Creighton, still ranked in the top 20 at UNLV, taking on the Aztecs Mountain West Conference foe, but it's Creighton at UNLV. Creighton is favored by 14.5 points over UNLV. Tony, does this sound like an overlay to you?
At Creighton or at UNLV?
At UNLV.
I believe it's at UNLV unless it's on a neutral court.
Give me the points, baby. Give me UNLV.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah.
I'm always going to stick up for our conference. Colorado State already beat Creighton, so I'll take UNLV plus the 14.5. And I don't like Creighton anyway. We had to get past them to get to the Final Four.
I'm going to go Creighton.
You're going to go Creighton just because you're...
No, just because I need to be on the other side of it.
You are. And finally tonight, Seattle University, which is where I was yesterday for Aztec basketball. Tonight, the Seattle men's team ventures to USF.
I figured.
To take on the Dons. Dons are favored by 9, Skraby.
Wow.
You're
9.
alum.
You're alum. Let me see if I can find some records here. I don't know if I'll be able to find it fast enough. I'll look.
Good. That was from the Dons tournament appearance a few years ago. But
the Dons are 7-3. Skraby.
That's what I thought. I get a pop-up on my phone after every game.
Seattle University Red Hawks are 6-3.
I'm going with my Dons.
Going with the Dons.
But they're favored by what again? You said
9 points.
That's what I thought. That's a lot. But I'm still going with them.
I'm taking the Dons because they are undefeated at home, and Seattle is 0-2 on the road.
All right.
Tony, you want to go with Elgin Baylor's former school?
I will go with the Dons.
Wow.
That's not Elgin Baylor's former school.
Well, I'll go with the Dons.
You're going with the Dons too.
That would be Matt Skraby's former school.
Elgin Baylor went to Seattle University.
Oh,
there was pictures of him all over the gym yesterday.
I did not know that.
Bill Russell went to USF.
Yes, he
Two
did.
of the great stars of days gone by.
Pete Rozelle also went to USF.
Okay. Now we're getting into stuff we don't care about.
I can keep going if you want.
And we won't because we got to check some traffic, come back. Lots more Gwynn and Chris ahead.
Patrick Mahomes apologized.
Yeah, I got something for Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get a chance to say it yesterday, but I saved it up for him. You'll hear it when we return.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Vicky Pepper. This is breaking news from 97.3 The Fan.
Yes, indeed. The Giants are on the board. Hung Ho Lee or Jung Ho Lee signs a 6-year deal with the Giants. $113 million opt out after year number 4. So that outfielder comes off the board, and the Padres search.
Are you kidding me?
Continues.
That's hugely bad news for the Padres. I mean, that's not just like, okay, well, good for the Giants. They got this center fielder. I mean, that's who everybody thought the Padres were going to have to target in the wake of trading Juan Soto. And maybe they did target him and didn't get him, or maybe they couldn't afford him, or maybe they didn't target him. I don't know. But I think in the minds of many of us fans, many of the people who follow the Padres, this was going to be the guy that we were going to get in the wake of losing Juan Soto and along with him, Trent Grisham, to play center field. Now, we talked about this earlier with Matt Snyder of CBS Sports. I mean, who's left in the free agent market for center field? So Padres currently do not have one. Harrison Bader is the one name the only name left that I even like, Tony. I'll read some of the other guys that are listed as center fielders.
Michael
Bellinger, but again, I'm questionable about him. Kevin Kiermaier, 34 years old. Michael A. Taylor. Adam Duvall is 35. Aaron Hicks is 34. Rafael Ortega. Jake Marisnick. I mean, there's not much there. Jackie Bradley Jr. is 34. I mean, of all of the free agent center fielders, the only two that are under the age of 30 were the Korean kid and Cody Bellinger. That's it. So Padres, to me, this is a shot that hurts, because I was kind of expecting the Padres to get this guy along with trading Soto.
Yeah. I always had my reservations about it. I think the 113 price tag.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
When he was initially thought to be available, I think the first report was like $54 million.
Yeah.
Then it came out yesterday, or an article day before that, about, being that he's a Scott Boras client, it could get up to 90.
Man,
we're talking 113 for a guy who has played in the Korean League, KBO. Yeah. And listen, I think Ha-Seong Kim has been terrific for the Padres, but it took him a couple of years to get to where he is now. Now, that's not to say that it's going to be the same thing for Lee, but it could be. And the Padres? What was Kim's contract? It was much, much cheaper.
It was 4 for 28.
Okay, so you're willing to take a.
This guy's getting about $17 million a year.
So that's production.
To have never played a moment of Major League Baseball.
That's production now, like right now.
Yeah.
They want him to step in, and he better be the player they think
at that cost. And again, when you're talking about playing in California, you wonder if that price tag goes up, because in order to outbid some of the other teams that were there, remember, Skraby and I talked about this yesterday, Chris. The Giants have struck out in free agency like 3 or 4 consecutive
seems like they
years.
were almost had to do this.
It almost seems like, and as
Scott Boras, he knew it.
They have been searching at the top of free agency for the last 3 or 4 years, hadn't got anybody.
Nobody.
And so they get this signing today. It certainly makes their team better. We don't know, but we think it makes their team better.
Yeah.
And it takes one off the board that the Padres were interested in.
It does. I think both things can be true here. The Giants are taking a risk, and they're spending way too much money for somebody who's still a risk. But while that's true, this still kicks in the gut of the Padre fan.
No doubt.
Because I think the Padre fan was expecting to get this guy.
It's hard not to think that the number getting to 113 could have been the thing that pushed the Padres.
Yeah, probably pushed them out.
Like, can they afford to pay that much to a guy that is a risk?
It's a blessing. I think it's kind of a blessing in disguise here, because I think we kind of said yesterday maybe the Giants are going to overpay because they have to get someone in there. The chat would like for us to talk about, and I've seen this for days now and I haven't brought it up, but there's a strong sense that Jurickson Profar is going to be back on this team and playing left field. Now, nothing against Jurickson, but I feel like if Jurickson Profar is a starting outfielder for the Padres next year, they failed miserably in the offseason to fill the holes that they needed to fill. And it's not against Jurickson, but that's a fallback for them, I think. I don't know. What do you guys think about him?
Yeah, I mean,
nah, let's just let Skraby stay out there alone with that comment.
Okay,
so that people will
will
write in on what a bleepity bleep he is.
I know
for thinking that.
I really wanted to try.
Let's
to,
not
because
save
I like
him, Tony.
Jurickson. We've talked to him many times. He's a great dude.
No, you're done. You don't like him. He's a fallback option. The Padres have failed. Let's just leave him out there.
I'm willing to say what you guys aren't. Because I think that's true. Like, Jurickson Profar is a great person for the Padres.
Here comes the double down.
He's a great teammate. Chris is calling it like it is right now. He's got the playbook in front of him. But I don't think the Padres should go into next year with Jurickson Profar as their starting left fielder.
He was a starting outfielder on the last team that went to the National League Championship. I know that.
But then he went to the Rockies.
It's not like you can't be the starter on a good team. He's been that already.
I think Jurickson brings a lot of intangibles that you like having on your team. Should he be the starting left fielder for the Padres? I don't know. I would say at this point, there's a chance, right? I mean, they don't those names you just mentioned, right? Outside of Bellinger and I would say Bader, right? Those are clear upgrades in the outfield. However, they may not get those guys either. And then, as we said earlier, as the Padres had to do on the pitching side last year when they signed Lugo and they signed Waka, and those turned out to be phenomenal signings, they may very well have to roll the dice on position players in the same way. Now, that's just free agency. We do know AJ is one of the best at thinking outside the box, and a trade could come that would alter all of that. But in terms of just speaking free agency, this was never a deep class to begin with. And
we're starting to believe that we're going to have some young players on this roster
that's
next year.
That's also
guys that we're not thinking about.
That's also a very good possibility.
What's his name? Guy who people keep saying should play left field. Jackson Merrill. You think he's ready?
I have no idea. I've never even laid eyes on Jackson Merrill.
Jackson, I don't know how much outfield work he's gotten. I don't think he's the one they're talking about playing outfield, are they?
Not necessarily, but they're saying that they're surmising.
I do think there's going to be some young flavor on this team. In what role, I'm not sure yet, but I think that's how it's setting up right now.
If you don't get Jurickson Profar, Eddie Rosario, Austin Meadows, there's not a lot of humongous names out there.
Yeah,
think about it. We'll take go ahead.
Is this break time?
Yes,
think about it.
All right, let's get to break.
Well, we're gonna revisit Patrick Mahomes. That just came to us in the break. So
yes, we were going to talk about him. We will talk about him. Believe me, I have something saved up for him.
We got Patty Mahomes and Chris's diatribe coming
Chris,
next.
I didn't mean it.
More good at Chris on the way.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
All right, here we go.
In the world of fairness, we should just mention this before we move on. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby, Gwynn and Chris, 97.3 The Fan. The Giants deal, 6 years, $113 million with the Korean center fielder Hung-Ho Lee, is not been confirmed by the Giants yet. So let's at least say that.
Touche.
Where's Bob Nightingale?
It's being widely reported. Again, let's just be fair. I mean, this is not, nothing's certain until it's certain, I guess, anymore. So let's just say John Heyman was the one who tweeted this out. It's being reported on MLB.com. So it looks, but I mean, we were sitting here last week saying it sure looks like Shohei Ohtani is a Blue Jay, and that didn't happen. So let's at least be clear on that. Giants have not confirmed the deal, but it's like I said, widely reported that the Korean star center fielder is headed to San Francisco.
If we don't start to get the same level of like pushback here in the next 2 hours like we did that day, then we can be pretty sure we can start to feel at least better about it.
Yeah, Bob Nightingale says no, the guy's at home having having a little lunch. Then we have to worry about it.
No, Bob didn't say he was having lunch. He said Shohei was still sleeping. So he even knew.
What was Bob doing? Peering in the windows?
I have no idea. And Bob Nightingale, as we said yesterday, he's a great guy. We've met him a couple times, but he went a little far.
He's going hard to paint right now. He's a little irritated with his journalistic brethren at this point. I will say this. It does seem like after that, the whole plane thing happened with Ohtani, somebody at that point in Ohtani's camp was definitely calling out and saying, nah, he's here. Because how else would you know he's at home sleep?
Because Bob Nightingale is peering in the windows. He's a peeping Bob.
He was sitting there in the window, eyes up, looking at
look, he's sleeping.
He's sleeping. Shohei's got like one of those sleep masks on. He's got his unnamed dog next to him.
It's very possible. All right, I'm going to lay out Patrick Mahomes in a little while, but right now we have arrived at the time of the show where it's gloves off for Tony Gwynn Jr. and Matt Skraby. It is another round of the famous and very popular Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show, and it follows a check of traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Vicky Pepper.
This report brought to you by Mossy Nissan. 5 south at the 163 still got this crash on the shoulder, causing a backup from Washington. Unwrap Mossy Nissan's lowest advertised prices of the year during the Nissan Thrill of the Drive sales event. Get incredible lease deals and low APRs on new Nissans. But hurry, these offers won't be back in stock. Visit MossyNissan.com or a Mossy Nissan near you. I'm Vicky Pepper, in for Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, all you beautiful people out there, it's time to play one of our favorite games of the week.
All right.
We like to call it,
Ooh, I'm going to go
Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show. It starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
Yes, it does. Welcome to all you beautiful people out there. You can play along as Tony and Skraby go head-to-head here, trying to come up with correct answers. I will give the topic here shortly. There are going to be 13 correct answers today as all, guys. So it's a select group of individuals who make up today's list. Tony and Skraby will take turns naming off correct answers. If they repeat one or get one wrong, they get a strike. And 3 strikes and you're out. Or first person to 7 correct answers today will win the Fantabulous Sports Game Show. Tony is the defending champion, taking the title belt back from Skraby the last time we played. So are you guys ready to go? Sure you are.
Yeah.
Skraby's got his notebook.
I do.
And he's got, what did you fire across the room that one time?
A notebook.
Oh, your notebook.
I had to get a new one because when I fired it across the room, it actually tore off the cover and the whole thing.
Messed it up.
Yeah.
All right, 13 correct answers today. Here we go. 13 players in the history of the National Football League have caught 120 or more passes in a single season.
120.
Wow.
Only 13 guys have ever done it. I think this is a really good one today. I guarantee you guys have heard of all of them because every single person on this list has accomplished the feat since 1995. So you don't have to go back into the old days for any of this.
Thank you.
Everything is 1995 and forward. Many of these guys are active players. It is 120 or more receptions. As mentioned, 13 guys have done it. I think there's also a couple of really tricky, tough ones on here. So, Skraby, you decide. Do you want to go first and have a better chance to reach 7? Or do you want Tony to go first and potentially have a better chance of striking out?
I'm going first.
Skraby always goes first, and it costs you every time.
Every time.
Because he gets so excited right out of the gate. He's like, I got like 5 of them right now.
I do. I have 5 written down.
And then he's in trouble. All right, give me your first answer. These are receivers in the NFL history who've gone over 120 receptions in a single season.
Michael Thomas.
He's at the top of the list. 149 catches for New Orleans in 2019. 149. That's
a lot.
It's probably going to get broken, though, because now they play an extra game.
That's true.
And they're throwing more than ever. I don't know if it'll get broken this year.
Who'd you say?
He said Michael Thomas. Yeah. He's taking the number 1 guy off the board. Tony, your turn. Pause.
Antonio Brown.
Don't normally get a pause this early in the contest. I think Tony's playing strategy. Antonio Brown is correct. He's 4th on the list with 136. He's also 6th on the list with 129. He did it twice. It only counts for 1 point for you. There are 11 correct answers left. And Skraby, it is your turn.
Let me go with my guy, Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice. Wouldn't it be something if the greatest receiver of all time?
I didn't go with him first because I know he was great. I don't know he did this.
In 1995, Jerry Rice caught 122 passes.
Oh, man.
Just enough to sneak in on this list. The greatest receiver of all time. Yeah, back when he caught the 122, he was like, right there on the record. But it's no longer the record. Michael Thomas blew past that. But yes, Jerry Rice, this is one of the many things he accomplished. So that is a correct answer. Skraby takes a 2-1 lead, and it is Tony Gwynn Jr.'s turn.
Megatron, Calvin Johnson.
Oh. Calvin Johnson, another great receiver.
Think of him.
Yeah. Did he ever catch this many passes in a season?
Yes.
He, of course, set the record for yardage in a season. In 2012, he caught a career high 122.
Oh.
Just enough, like Jerry Rice, barely sneaking on there.
Of his chinny.
Yeah, he didn't make it by much. So there it is. It's a 2-2 tie. I have a feeling this is going to be real tough. You guys got
this is where it starts to get tough.
9 more correct answers left out there. And judging by your early guesses, I think this is a struggle, but there are, just so you know, there are a total of 7 active players on this list.
And we have not named one yet.
No,
yes, you have.
One. We get one so
Michael
far.
Thomas is
active.
active.
I guess he is active.
So
kind of.
There are 6 active receivers left, if that helps. I'll give it to you guys both, so it's an even playing field. Skraby, you're up.
Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison, senior or junior?
Senior.
Yeah, junior hasn't done it yet. Marvin Harrison might be on my team when I line up my greatest
he was unbelievable.
Wide receivers of all time. I mean, Jerry Rice can be on one side. There's a question as to who you could put on the other, and you could put a lot of guys. Marvin Harrison, you could not go wrong, though, with him. 143 is correct.
Damn.
For Marvin Harrison, 3rd most all time. He is on the list indeed. And Skraby takes a 3-2 lead. No strikes yet. Tony Gwynn Jr., we're naming receivers who have over 120 single-season receptions.
How about Devontae Adams?
Devontae Adams
on the list.
Using one of the active players. 123.
Nice.
For Devontae back with the Packers in 2021. That is correct. So it is tied at 3. It's a pretty good matchup right now. There are 5 active players left. There are 8 correct answers left. So there's a chance for you guys to do some damage here. Skraby? No strikes
There's still
yet.
some active, you said.
There's
5 active?
Yeah.
So let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's 4. 5. Wait. Yes, 5. Skraby.
I'm really hoping he did. Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs.
That
He's
was my
active.
next guess.
Stephon Diggs' career high came in 2020 for the Buffalo Bills with 127.
All right.
He's on the list. He caught maybe 6 passes the last 4 weeks of the season to make sure that my fantasy team did not get into the playoffs. I don't know where he's going, where he went. All of a sudden, all of the controversy surrounding he and Josh Allen seems to be playing out now. Anyway, that is correct, Skraby. You take a 4-3 lead. Tony Gwynn Jr. in a game that continues
Trying to stay calm
here
over
without
there.
a strike on either player. There are 4 active players left, 7 total. It may come down to those other 3 is what I'm thinking, but we'll see. Tony.
How about Cooper Kupp?
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Los Angeles Rams 2021 caught the second most passes in one season in NFL history. 145 catches.
Dang.
To trail Michael Thomas by only 4.
That's
Is
a good one. I
correct.
didn't even think about him. For
Cooper
some reason.
Kupp. It is 4-4. Nobody has a strike yet, which I'm really impressed with. There are only 5 correct answers left.
How many active?
Is that right? Wait a minute. It's 4-4. There was only 13 right. Let me see. There is 1 active, 2 active, inactive, inactive, inactive. That's it. There are 5 left. 2 are active. 3 are no longer active. Skraby, as it gets down to the nitty-gritty here in a 4-4 tie, goes for 5 in a row. And he guesses.
This was where it gets tough.
Deep sigh.
I'm going to go. This guy's got like 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons or something. Not 10. But Mike Evans.
Mike Evans.
Ain't no way. He got
The
120 catches.
Toronto Blue Jays.
Yes, Toronto
No,
Blue Jays.
I know. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, I'm not even really seeing Mike Evans on here,
Really?
so I can't even play out
I
the
just was
drama.
going by big yards.
Can't play out the drama, Skrabe. I don't see Mike Evans on this anywhere.
That's embarrassing.
So that is going to be a strike for you.
That's embarrassing.
And Tony now has an opportunity to jump into the lead here with 5 correct answers remaining in a 4-4 tie. Tony's thinking this through.
Keenan Allen got 120. Give me Keenan.
Give you Keenan Allen
that's
for
a good one.
120.
That's a great one.
Not seeing Keenan Allen.
Whoa, what? Really?
No.
I would have guessed he was on the list for sure.
No, don't see him.
Wow.
There's his high, 108 last year.
Dang.
Actually,
short.
2023 this year.
Just tells you how many catches 120 really is.
Yeah, Keenan Allen's incorrect. He's not on the 120 in the 120
Son
club.
of
All right, we're still tied at 4. This is where the earlier strategy may pay off because if you don't get a correct answer, Skraby will strike out first. But right now, you only have 1 strike, Skrabe. Chance to redeem yourself from your last guess. There are 5 correct answers left. Great wide receivers, all of them.
1 active.
2 active,
2 active.
3 not active, and 5 correct answers to guys that have caught over 120 in a season.
All right.
Skraby.
These are educated guesses at this point.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, the last one didn't seem too educated. I
T.O.
must
caught 20 balls against the Bears one year.
say.
Terrell
Terrell Owens. A hell of a name.
120?
He caught 20 in
No, I'm
one
saying,
game.
did he get
I know,
120?
but they fed him the ball more than any person on earth.
And because if they didn't, he didn't shut his yap.
That's true.
Terrell Owens is incorrect.
Oh.
He's not on this list. Don't see him anywhere. I'm trying to see where his high is, but he's not high enough on the list for me to give you an all-time high for Terrell Owens.
Wow.
Yeah, that's strike 2. So there are still 5 correct answers left. I'm wondering out there, how many of the 5 do you have? I'll be honest with you. If you're out there and you think you got like 3 of the 5, I'm going to be surprised because some of these are really tough, especially the guys that don't play anymore. Not because you haven't heard of them, but just because there's so many great wide receivers that have played. And who's it going to be? Tony, for a commanding position in the game, can you get one of the 120 club?
Julio Jones has got to be 1.
Julio Jones has got to be 1.
You love Julio Jones.
I mean, he's an old head, but he was really good at one point.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he's
And
also
they threw him the
active.
ball and that's what I'm saying. He's active.
2015 with Atlanta, he went for $136.
Wow.
Julio Jones is correct, tied for the fourth most in NFL history. And he's pushed, Tony now has pushed Skraby to the brink. It is a 5-4 score. Skraby has got to get this one to stay
I
alive.
can't think of any more active, but I got one old
There's
head.
4 names
I got
left.
2 old and 1 new.
There's 1 active
You better
receiver.
hope it's right, buddy.
There's 1 active receiver, 3 not active, 4 left total. Skraby got to have 1 to keep the game going.
Too. So this is on me to extend. Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson has not been playing that long. But
But
last year he caught
it.
128 passes.
I knew it.
He is
I
on the
knew
list.
it.
Skraby's good. It's 5-5. Tony, we got to go back to you to try to take the lead.
I'll get one in before we leave.
Get one in before the break.
You got time.
I must say Isaac Bruce.
Isaac Bruce, the Los Angeles Rams' greatest show on turf. 119 is his high.
No way!
In 1995. Missed it by 1. That is strike 2.
That is some sucker stuff right
The game
there.
is dead even, but Skraby has to come up with a name, and he has until we come back from the break to do so.
Wow.
There are 3 correct answers left. Will Skraby pull it off? We'll find out as Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show comes to its thrilling conclusion.
It's new life over here.
On 97.3 The Fan.
starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
4 o'clock. Sorry, I forgot it was my lead-in. I'm locked into trying to figure out
Me too.
who another 120 plus catch wide receiver is. I asked during the break if I could look up a name. I was told no. I was asked if I could ask Chris Ello what a name was of somebody. I was told
I don't want you to ask that because you might give Skraby the answer.
Well,
he's first up here.
Skraby is is first up on this. Now we do have a Chris versus the Fans coming right after this wonderful Fantabulous Game Show ends. 833-288-0973 if you want to participate. I believe the floor is yours, Skraby.
Yes, it is. Let me just set this up here real quick.
Wink.
The category was 120 or more receptions, 13 correct answers. The guys have named 10 of the 13, including all of the active players who are on this list. So there are 3 correct answers remaining, and both Skraby and Tony have 2 strikes. Now, Skraby decided to go first, which puts him in the position here of getting a correct answer or striking out and losing the game. Let me just ask you before you answer, would you rather Tony have the turn right now and run the risk of striking out, or do you like having control of this in your own spot?
I'd rather go down with my own doing.
Go down swinging.
Yeah.
All right,
Because I have a pretty good name in mind.
You think you got somebody here?
I do.
All right, 120 catches is what you need. Here we go for the game if Skraby is right.
What about
one
of the greatest wide receivers of all time?
One of the greatest of all time.
Randy Moss.
Randy Moss.
Catch a beat running like Randy Moss.
Randy Moss for the championship.
If he doesn't, I'm fine with guessing Randy Moss and going down.
You're fine with just going down in flames on Randy Moss?
Yeah, because Randy Moss, if he didn't have 120 catches, it just shows me that this is kind of an arbitrary stat.
Oh, I see. So it's not a real category. What if it's correct? Then
that's what I thought it was, so that's why I guessed him.
I see. 2003 for the Minnesota Vikings was Randy Moss's high water mark year. He caught 111. No! Came a little short. That is strike 3. Skraby has struck out. If you can't tell, the game is over. Tony Gwynn Jr.
Play me my theme song.
Wins the Fantabulous Sports Game Show today in a very, very hotly contested duel.
All right, I do have some questions.
Yes, I want to hear your song before.
I want to hear my song too before I get your question.
Let me put these people on hold.
He's got to put Chris Chris the Fan people on hold first.
I'm fine with it. But Randy Moss should be on the list if there's anyone on the list.
He actually has to catch that many balls in order to be on the list.
Well, if it was up to Patrick Mahomes, he would just be in because he did it.
Oh, my gosh.
I see.
Play my music a little louder, please. Thank you. No,
this is as loud as it goes.
Oh, you're getting a really very poor rendition of the championship music today. Very good. You guys guessed some really good guys.
My guess was going to be Wes Welker.
Wes Welker would have been correct.
No.
All right. Now, the question I had during the break was, I know because I used to follow the team when I was a young one.
Mm-hmm.
The Detroit Lions had a tall wide receiver. I could not remember his name.
He was also on the list. Herman Moore is his name.
I know the name.
And the only other player who's ever caught 120 is Chris Carter.
Oh.
God, Tony had all 3 of them. Very good, Tony. But there's some great ones who didn't quite make it, right? I mean,
Tyreek was just short.
Tyreek was one short last year at 119. Torrey Holt is on the almost made it list. Christian McCaffrey is another guy that you could have thought of.
Wait, what?
How many did?
116.
That's when they were running him into the ground there those first 3 years.
Yes, Andre Johnson. Sterling Sharp. Anyway, goes down the list of Michael Irvin. Anyway, you guys did well. You got it. Tony, you had them all. Tony wins a classic one today in the Fantabulous Sports Game Show. Well done. All right, that's good.
Did Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt end up around the same year, or was those different years?
Oh, good question. Torrey Holt, 2003 was his big year. Isaac Bruce's big year was 1995.
Oh, wow.
very far apart, actually.
Super far apart.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Okay. We got a Chris versus the fans.
Yes, we do. And I
Coming
think
your
we
way.
have contestants. So we should let's jump to that before we give, or should you want to give it a
Usually I
buzz?
get a commercial break to reset. But
Skraby's
I
a
can't
little
do that.
irritated, right?
Like,
Skraby's a little irritated.
Okay, so this might be TMI, but I used the restroom during the break, and I was in there, and Randy Moss hit me, and I go, Randy Moss!
I got it.
And I come back in here, and I even was so excited. I was like, see, guys, I didn't even use my phone, and it was incorrect.
It's a tough category today, man.
Yeah.
Tough category today.
All right.
Because there's some great ones that didn't make this list, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, chance for you to be qualified for a grand prize. 2-night stay at Westgate, Las Vegas, Dinner Edge Steakhouse, 2 tickets to see Barry Manilow, Westgate, Las Vegas, unforgettable evening at the Las Vegas Resort Casino International Theater. Show-stopping performances include Copacabana, Mandy, and Can't Smile Without You, all while experiencing a night of illustrious showmanship. Get your tickets now, Ticketmaster.com, to see Manilow at Westgate, Las Vegas. We're also giving you a pair of tickets to see the Seals take on the Nighthawks. That's coming up at Pechanga Arena on December the 29th. Get your tickets now at sealslax.com. Christopher the Fans brought to you by Tarpey Plumbing, Heating, and Air for best HVAC and plumbing services in San Diego and surrounding areas. Call Tarpey today, and if that read gets a whole lot longer, we're not going to be able to play the game ever again.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the Fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right. Let me read some rules, and then we will get into the game. If you guys can't tell, I'm really trying to pull it together right now and just move through, but I'm pretty upset.
Heartbroken he is.
I don't know what either of you said. I'm just going to keep moving. You have to make it through 3 questions. Each question will get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get it wrong and Chris gets it right, you're eliminated. But if Chris gets it wrong, then you move on to the next question, or you win. If you're a first-time player, let us know before you get into the first question, and you will get that one for free today. Other than that, we are ready to go. Ready to go.
First contestant, Jason. Welcome to the show. Come on down.
Dun, dun.
Hey, good afternoon, Jess.
Good
What's up,
afternoon.
Jason?
Good acoustics at the crib.
Not much. Hey, we should cheat, Matt. You could have cheated like Leo did.
Yeah, you could have, but we would have been staring at Skraby the whole time.
Yeah,
now.
that's true.
All right, Jason, here we go. First question. What NHL team's logo is a tire with wings?
The Red Wings.
Nice
That's
job.
Correct.
Question number 2. I enjoyed this film very much. The fictional Texas State Fighting Armadillos are the football team at the center of what 1991 sports comedy film starring Scott Bakula and the team's quarterback?
Oh, man. I watched that several times. I know it's wrong, but I'm going to go Wildcats.
Wildcats.
Stay there, Jason.
Never mind who the quarterback was. The kicker was Kathy Ireland of Sports Illustrated fame.
Really?
Yes. The film was called Personal Foul, 15 Yards, Unnecessary Roughness. Unnecessary Roughness. That's my answer. Unnecessary Roughness. Oh.
This is wild.
Oh, totally wrong movie then.
No?
Not totally wrong, just wrong.
Oh, is it Necessary Roughness?
It is necessary
roughness. Good for
Jason, you move on to the next round.
Yeah,
I thought Chris was playing.
I thought he was
too.
Jason, you are still there.
Still alive, Jason.
There
Good
we
for
go.
you. Take advantage
All
of
right.
Question number 3.
Unnecessary roughness.
41 states are home to at least one active FBS program. Which of these states has the highest number of FBS programs?
Texas.
We have ourselves
Wow.
Good
win.
job, Jason. You took advantage of the opening.
I honestly, Jason, stay right there. I did not expect this to go down like that.
He first of all, kudos to Jason
Yes.
for taking advantage of the turnover.
That is a turnover.
And capitalizing on it and winning the or qualifying.
That's how it gets done. That's how it gets done. It could happen to you out there.
Nice work, Jason.
Way to go, Jason. Stay on the line. Skraby will get your info in just a couple seconds. You will have a chance to qualify for a trip to go to Las Vegas to see Barry Manilow, but you do win the tickets to see the Seals lacrosse matchup against the Nighthawks on December 29th. So
that's a cool name, Nighthawks.
By the way, there was a Barry Manilow Christmas special on last night. It was recorded at my house. Yeah, I know. I'm man enough to go ahead and admit my feelings for Barry Manilow.
He said it was recorded at my house.
I haven't watched it yet.
Is this the same Barry Manilow special that comes out every year, or a different one?
No, he doesn't have one. This is a brand new
show. Brand new one.
Yeah,
Wow.
it doesn't have a Christmas yearly show that I know of.
Dang.
So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Dang.
To our listeners, Prime NFL games are available free from Westwood One and live here on 97.3 The Fan and on the Odyssey app. This Thursday, listen to the Chargers and Raiders. That Charger team will be without Justin Herbert, in case you haven't heard. They take on the Raiders on Thursday, and then next Monday, the Eagles and Seahawks right here on 97.3 The Fan at 4:30, or simply download the Odyssey app and search for 97.3 The Fan at kickoff. Go ahead, Scott.
Yes, sir.
No, you got something?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go ahead and go to break then.
Oh, okay. All right.
Am I missing something?
No,
You're making me feel like I'm
just waiting for you to go to break.
All right, we're going to break. More
what are we doing on the other side?
We're going to talk about this Patrick Mahomes issue that I think Mr. Ello has some things to get off his chest.
I think so.
We'll discuss. More Gwynn and Chris. Here's some traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Vicki Pepper.
125 south at the 94.
Chris. 4:18 is the time. Chris L. Tony Gwynn Jr., Mr. Skraby, three of us hanging out, not only on 97.3 The Fan until 6 o'clock, but you can catch us on YouTube. Just search 97.3 The Fan, and you can watch the program as we roll along here for the next couple of hours. Still to come on the program is Skraby's Big Five. That'll be at the bottom of this hour. But Patrick Mahomes, I've been waiting a couple days to get in on this.
You were talking about YouTube. I have to send you guys a picture that was just texted by two great listeners, Matt and Kat. This is what they watch our show on, guys. A huge big screen.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That would scare me.
I also said my face is far too big for your house.
Did you send a picture?
I'll send it to you guys. But I just got to say, some people are looking at us on their brand new HD 5 million square foot TV.
I think we were single. I think we were meant to be watched.
Matt and Kat are married.
Oh, they're okay. All right.
I think we were meant to be watched on a phone, honestly. Yeah. That screen's scaring the daylights out of me.
I need to see this picture up close.
That's scaring me.
All right, I'll send it to you. And they also have, I just noticed this. They have a Pikachu with a Santa hat on next to their Christmas tree.
Oh, that's cute.
Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
The yellow guy. He goes,
oh, I thought that was a dog.
I thought that was a dog.
I thought that was a dog. A Pikachu.
Pikachu.
Evidently not.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, I apologize for that error. Patrick Mahomes, speaking of apologies, today tried to walk back some of his whiny comments from the game Sunday. I have some thoughts for him, but let's first hear his apology. I want to give him a chance to speak again. Scrabe?
Yep. Sorry.
Told me he was ready.
I know. It's right here.
Right.
You know, obviously, you don't want to react that way. I care, man. I love it. I love this game. I love my teammates, and I want to go out there and put everything on the line to win. But obviously, can't do that. I mean, can't be that way towards officials or really anybody in life. So I probably regret acting like that. But more than anything, I mean, I regretted the way I acted towards Josh after the game because he had nothing to do with it. And so I was still hot and emotional. But you can't do that, man. It's not a great example for kids watching the game. So that was more upset about that than I was about me on the sideline.
Okay. Apology accepted, but not 100%. Not 100%. His reaction, Andy Reid's is just as bad. And I don't know where you guys stood on this, but
I'm with you, Chris.
You know me as an official, but I'm not sticking up for the official just because of that. The thing that really ticked me off about Patrick Mahomes was his insinuation that the referees took away a Hall of Fame play by a Hall of Fame player in Travis Kelce. And nothing could be further from the truth. Whether you agreed with the call or not, that he was offside, and I'm pretty sure he was, but whether or not you agree that it was offside, the official threw the flag immediately. The ball was still in Patrick Mahomes' hands when the flag was thrown. So to insinuate that the officials took away this great play from Travis Kelce is to say that they somehow knew what was coming. And, of course, we know that not to be true. So that's the thing that really bothered me the most, I must say. Certainly going to be frustrated. It was an incredible play, but it's a penalty. And you know that what I'm going to say about that is, don't call it at that time of the game. Don't let the officials decide the game. Well, if he doesn't call it, then he's deciding the game in favor of Kansas City. And he's hosing Buffalo. So
I don't disagree with you, Chris. I didn't even think about that whole thing of saying it was a Hall of Fame play, but they did throw the flag as soon as the snap happened. They were waiting for it.
They didn't know what kind of play they were wiping out. And that was the thing that Patrick Mahomes seemed to take most exception to. He's like, the officials are coming in here and that's all we're talking about. And they're wiping out a great play. Well, they didn't know it was going to be a great play.
Yeah.
And they threw the flag.
Yeah.
Tony?
I'm not giving officials at this point any love at all.
Yeah, they're doing it. They're doing a bad job.
I just think
they're doing a bad job. You're right.
Also, no, it's not even that they did, because in this case they didn't do a bad job. They did their job. So, I think, as I said yesterday, when I was listening to him on his rant, it just read as somebody who is completely frustrated, not just with that call, but probably more likely with his wide receivers, and understanding that he can't publicly go out and be like, my wide receivers just need to step it up and stop making mistakes. He's directing it elsewhere. And in this case, it's at the officials. But what I like is that 24 hours after the fact, he's had some time to kind of calm down. He's talking to the media. He acknowledges, I was completely out of pocket. I'm embarrassed by how I acted. And that's ultimately all you could ask people to do. Now, I'm sure if he had it to do over, he probably would have handled it a different way. But
yeah, I'm not shocked that I'm not shocked.
He's completely, everybody was completely wrong. I mean, how many times we watch games on Sunday and on Saturday, and do you not see somebody's foot going over the line, the fake line that they have on the television? It's pretty much, you don't see it. That's why it stood out to everybody. Like, even before that play was snapped, as you looked at it, he's like,
looks weird.
His foot is not, I don't think his foot is supposed to be in conjunction with the line that's going on there. But
right.
They got it right. Mahomes and Reed got it wrong. It's nice to hear Patrick come on and say, I messed up.
I think it's not going to save him from a fine. I don't know where the fine is, what they're waiting for. I know that almost every other coach that called NFL officiating embarrassing gets fined tens of thousands of dollars. Only fair that Andy Reid get the same penalty. It's frustrating to every coach that's ever complained about it. It's frustrating to every player who's complained about it. But they all get fined, and I haven't seen anything come down on this one yet.
I did learn a lot about this whole offensive offsides call, and just listening to a lot of the pros that pretty much said it happens often. Usually there's some type of, hey, get your guy back on the line
a little bit,
but whatever the case may be, the referee was in his right to throw the flag there. It sucks that it happened to be on which would have been one of the greatest plays
of
all time.
Yeah,
but
crazy.
It is a foul. It is an infraction.
Yeah, I don't think there's a team in the NFL that can't whine or complain about something that's happened.
Right.
The Miami got the very common defensive delay of game penalty last night, right at the end of the game, which gave Tennessee a first down at the 2-yard line. Who knows what impact that may have had, but I guarantee you. And Skraby, you explained that to me is what now? The Miami guy apparently was yelling signals.
Well, I've seen this before, and usually what happens is the defensive linemen are kind of yelling out signals so that gets the offense to jump a little bit. But I don't know for sure that is the case last night. There are a couple different ways they were saying that this can happen, but that's the most common.
There should have been an explanation. I mean, the game was hanging in the balance. The penalty was called on the nose tackle. Because I looked it up in the play-by-play today. The infraction of Tennessee was their tight end was moving. So I don't know how the nose tackle affected the tight end moving, but I know that was a big call, and I know that I never see it. So, Miami ought to be crying foul as well. I mean, everybody can call it, but everybody can.
I just read some more. Okay,
What?
So they're pinning it down to the lineman made a sudden movement, like trying to bait them offside.
He did? Okay. I didn't see it.
It would be tough to call that, but you have to call it. And can we stop with the people that are like tweeting out pictures last night? I can't remember which game it was, but one of the receivers was doing like a Kadarius Toney and standing over the line. And this guy wrote, why isn't this called if Travis Kelce's going to get it wiped out? Like, come on. Come on.
Well, everybody's got something to complain about, and that goes back to Tony's thing, which is I'm not going to be speaking on behalf of any officials right now. Yeah, because they have had a tough year in the National Football League, and it is a lot of things that Patrick Mahomes said in his frustration were 100% true. But
you can't use it in that particular spot.
You just couldn't use it in that particular spot, unfortunately.
I just don't like that's got to down to the player. Kadarius Toney. That's mental reps or something like.
Well,
you're offsides. Like, how do you not line up, look to the left, and say? And the referee would say, "Back up." You just don't do it.
pointed out, he did some film on this,
Oh.
and he pointed out that there are several times in the game that Kadarius Toney was offsides.
Okay, and they didn't call it.
They didn't call it, and he never, at least in the clips that he showed, ever looked to the line judge to like kind of point to ask him,
right,
if I'm off. Which you see wide receivers almost do every play.
That's just what you do.
They start doing it in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really common. I mean, because when I covered high school games, you're always on the sidelines and you're standing right there and the receiver would come out and look at the official, am I onside? So, I mean, they do it in high school. Why isn't Kadarius Toney doing it? I don't get it. He's the only guy not doing it.
It cost him.
I think that's what Patrick Mahomes wanted to yell at.
He probably, I feel like all the things that have happened with his wide receivers, whether it's the dropped 60-yard bomb or, you know, the penalties that keep happening or the drop balls, that all led up to his out of character explosion that he had on Sunday.
I told you yesterday, it made me like him more, because in the way of not the complaining, but in the way of seeing that fire, like, because you don't get to see that from him.
You didn't think he had fire before that?
I knew he had fire, but I didn't know he had
like
that fire.
Like, he has played, even in this, despite of the poor wide receiver play, he has played the professional card every week.
Absolutely.
Until this Sunday, where he completely lost his mind on the sideline. At first, you know, before we figured out who he was yelling, I thought he was talking to Andy Reid there for a second when he was like going off on the sideline, and then I forget who it was. Was it Romo doing that game?
I don't remember.
I think it was Romo.
Romo, I think, ends up pointing out that he's going at the official, and I was like, okay, well, at least he's going at the official. But then you see the play, and it's like, hey, what are you going at the official about?
I know. He should have watched the play before he did his post game. Because it may have changed his opinion a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
I think it didn't matter what the TV showed him at that point.
He was ready.
He was just gonna.
It needed to happen.
Gasket. Yeah,
needed to happen.
Florida Attorney General is now launching an investigation into the College Football Playoff Committee's decision to leave out Florida State.
We don't have anything better to do?
Nope.
Earlier, it was going to be presidential candidate Ron DeSantis launching an investigation. Now it's the Florida Attorney General.
I'm sure he gave him the green light to go ahead and push forward.
You know, those are elected officials, so they are technically probably doing what the people of Florida want.
Possibly.
Well, let's put it this way. Skraby's got 5 stories better than that. They're all coming up in the Big 5 next on Gwynn and Chris.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Let's be honest with it. They didn't break one single rule. They didn't break one.
shortly. Skraby, real quick. You were able to find a way. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had food.
I'm eating celery.
You were able to find a way to get that bye. You had a rough end to your fantasy year, but by the hairs of your chinny chin chin, you skate by. You get the number 2 seed in the Odyssey playoff we got going here.
Yep. I'm eating more celery than I've ever eaten in my life, and I absolutely hate celery. It's very hard to eat.
The 2 producers of 97.3 Fan take the top 2 seeds.
Yeah, it doesn't sit well with me that Braden got the one.
Gets the number 1 seed. You get the number 2 seed.
It doesn't sit well.
Belichick yourself.
Bill Belichick is in our league now.
Thomas. He ends up with the 3 seed. I end up with the 4 seed. I will take on your nephew, Chris.
Godson.
And
Godson, Connor.
And then John Serio will take on Thomas. So you get a bye there, son.
You guys have fun.
Yes, Chris. Sorry.
Skraby, welcome to the sidelines this weekend.
Oh, I will.
You have so many fantasy leagues you're in, but I was going to say, wait till you see how much you enjoy watching Red Zone and NFL football when you don't have a fantasy game.
See, I don't know that I will.
It's
I love that.
Nearly as the same.
Well, he doesn't love sports like that.
That's not true. I love football.
I don't know that.
I do.
Yeah, I know you do.
I don't enjoy it as much. Mark Cuban was on one of the Peyton places with Peyton Manning, and he said that he believes pretty much what I believe, and that is that fantasy sports is what has put the National Football League over the top. Without it, wouldn't be nearly as.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Nearly as interesting to most people.
I mean, how many times, like we talk about it all the time, how many times are we tuning into a Guardians White Sox game?
We're not
on a weekday.
We're
Never.
not. Unless you have your fantasy pitcher pitching in the game.
Then you watch.
Then you would watch. So, yeah, it's very true. But good luck to both of you. Since we're updating that, the one thing that the Dolphins and Packers losses did last night, Tony, those were your 3 and 2 point games. And so that has tightened up our NFL pick'em race now. It's just a 1 point spread between you and I heading into the final 4 weeks. So that got closer.
Did you guys also know that there is only one team that has clinched a playoff spot?
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
That's right, baby. The first team of the year to clinch the spot.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Chris could not hate that more.
All right, let's check some traffic and let's get to this big 5.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Vicky Pepper.
This report brought to you by Mossy Nissan, 125 south of the 94. Still got this crash involving an overturned vehicle in the right lane. You're at a standstill from Fletcher. Going to cost you about 20 minutes. Unwrap Mossy Nissan's lowest advertised prices of the year during the Nissan Thrill of the Drive sales event. Get incredible lease deals and low APRs on new Nissans. But hurry, these offers won't be back in stock. Visit MossyNissan.com or a Mossy Nissan near you. I'm Vicky Pepper with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
This holiday season, shop groceries and baking needs in one trip, and that's it at Smart and Final.
Number 5.
We got some Tommy DeVito to talk about today. We got a Padres question here in about 5 seconds, maybe more than 5 seconds before you guys call me out on that. The Lakers to hang a banner or
What's
not
the
a
Padre
banner?
question?
I will tell you in a second.
It's been 5 seconds.
Al Michaels, is he done? And Malcolm Jenkins, former Eagle. He's starting up something, and I wanted to get your opinions on what you guys would start. But we're going to start with, I don't know if I've already clicked it, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Number 5.
There it is.
The Padres are looking for a DH, and there's one that went up the road last year, but is now looking for another team, and that would be JD Martinez. Now, he may be a little pricey, and he's a righty, but he's a veteran, and it's a veteran bat that still has some value left in it. Looked on SpotTrack. SpotTrack is projecting him to be a $15.4 million salary for 2024. He's still looking. Tony, would you pay a little bit more for JD Martinez?
A little bit more than 15?
No, 15. I would say, like, what are the Padres looking for a DH around, like, maybe $8 million or something like that? I mean, you're going to have to pay a lot more.
JD may be worth it. Everything you hear is he's a good influence in the locker room. He's a hitting nut, like loves hitting, like on a scale that is maybe uncomfortable for guys at times. But
what does that mean?
I mean, like a lot of guys don't want to talk mechanics.
Oh, I see.
You know, and he's a guy that likes to break down a swing. But he's been productive when he's been healthy. Now, listen, you're rolling the dice anytime you sign an older guy, but a 1-year deal I don't think would be a bad idea. He would be the best DH the Padres have had since the DH rule went in.
Okay.
On a consistent basis.
Chris, what do you think about JD Martinez? You willing to pay a little bit more for him?
No.
Okay.
36 years old, too old for me to risk it.
I see.
I'd pay him, a reasonable amount, but I don't want to go through the roof for a 36-year-old guy. But he's a great hitter.
I mean, the first thing that came to my mind earlier was that he did struggle with injuries last year, and he has struggled with injuries.
He played a lot of games last year.
Did he only miss? He didn't miss.
He missed some time. I don't think he missed as much as you think.
He had about the same number of games as Jorge Soler did. Soler's 32. I'd be more inclined to go with him.
He played last year. He played in. Gosh dang it, internet making me look bad here.
Yep.
He played in 113.
Soler played 137. So it's quite a few more. Didn't have as many RBIs, but he didn't have the same number of opportunities to knock guys in. I like Soler, but I don't know. Is he cheaper than JD Martinez? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they all cost. So, but 36 is too much for me. 36 is too old for me.
30
says the guy who's like 100 years old.
Yes, says the guy who tilled the fields back in the day.
Yeah.
I just got a really funny. Adam just sent me a really funny text because we've been talking about Hung Ho Lee, the Korean outfielder that the Giants reportedly signed. Well, I don't know it's done yet, but Andrew Baggerly, who covers the team, tweeted out Farhan Zaidi asked about John Heyman's report that Giants are in agreement with Hung Ho Lee. Quote, John Heyman, I'll say this. He's got a better chance of being accurate if he actually spelled the guy's name correctly. So he's taking shots at John for the arson judge, and he's taking shots that John doesn't know what he's talking about here. Tony didn't really not a fan of this shot.
I don't really care about the shot. I just
Are we supposed to think that potentially he's not taken by the Giants?
I could have put a stop to this by just saying no or yes. Instead, he decided to give us a subliminal shot there.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
That's kind of weird, but it was just a side note that I thought was kind of funny.
What do you say about the John Heyman report? Ha! I'll say if he gets his name right, he'd have a better chance. Ha, 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 ha. I don't understand it.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, can we just say yes, we signed him, or no, we haven't?
Or no comment.
Fair
I think
point.
he was trying to do his best Mike McDaniel, and it failed.
Yeah, that's not his strong suit.
All right, here's the number
Mike
4.
McDaniel keeps on calling fade patterns. He's not going to be quoted very often anymore.
Tommy DeVito is the hit of the NFL right now. He is leading the Giants when the Giants are not very good. The Giants are out of their quarterback, Daniel Jones. They also had Tyrod Taylor get hurt. So Tommy DeVito looked pretty bad in his first couple games, but he really has turned it around, and he has this team believing in him. The fans out there are now already turning the page on Daniel Jones, who is still under contract. He is actually going to have one more year on his contract with the Giants that pays him $41 million. But the fans want to trade him, and they want Tommy DeVito. And here is Tommy DeVito's famous agent, Sean Stellato, talking about his dream for Tommy.
Yeah, my dream is for him to be the starting quarterback and get a long-term deal with the New York Giants. I have no doubt he can win this job. He's won the locker room. The coaches are believing. Let's face it, the fans think he's the second coming of, the Sopranos back at 20-something years ago. Just in terms of that aura and that passion and that blue collar underdog approach because he relates to that fan base.
So that's just a little bit of Sean Stellato. He was on with Kay Adams on the Up and Adams show. Tommy DeVito going full East Coast. If his agent doesn't have an accent and he has to have an accent. He does the Italian thing. It's pretty good. But Chris, do you think Tommy DeVito is the guy for the Giants?
Not yet. I mean, what, after 3 games?
I think more
what am I supposed to do? Make him, Y Tittle or something? I mean, no. 3 games is not enough.
Tittle.
I'm trying to think of a historic Giants quarterback for you.
Gotcha.
I mean, he's an exciting story. Much easier to win games when the team is completely out of the running. There's no pressure. It's only up. He's looked better than he looked the first couple of games. First couple of games, he couldn't even complete a pass. So no, I'm not ready to give it all to Tommy DeVito yet.
All right, Tony, are you, if you're the Giants, are you going to go forward with Tommy DeVito as your guy?
Yeah, for now. I mean, it's all good when you're, what was the record when he started?
It wasn't good, and it's still not good.
Right. So, I mean, as Chris said, he's been playing with house money.
But I think he's won 3 in a row.
That's great. It's tough to win in the National Football League from what I hear. But they are still – nobody's walking into the Giants giving him their best shot. We're playing the Giants.
He also beat the Patriots 10-7. Please,
that's true.
Tommy DeVito's their quarterback. We'll coast. Now, if he keeps this up the rest of the year, okay, maybe there's a different conversation. But even then, we've seen the whole half season quarterback do well, and then they hand the keys over, and then it doesn't look the same.
We saw a guy for the Green Bay Packers once by the name of Flynn.
Matt Flynn.
Who threw for 400 yards in the final game of the regular season and got a $80 million deal the next season with Seattle.
To be a backup.
And never played because they had Russell Wilson, and he stunk anyway.
They basically beat him out for the job after they gave him a contract.
Matt Flynn.
So, listen, I'm rooting for Mr. DeVito.
2 of his last 3 games are against the Eagles, so let's check back with me after those.
Okay, good point.
Exactly. Let's wait a little bit.
Okay.
Number 3.
To hang a banner or not hang a banner? That was the Lakers' question after winning the inaugural in-season tournament. Apparently, the Lakers are going to hang a banner after reports said that they would not. From the source, they'll, quote, unveil a unique add-a-year in-season tournament banner. Huh? Unveil a unique? I read this earlier and I didn't stumble. Add a year in-season tournament banner recognizing the inaugural 2023 win. They didn't provide other details of the banner itself, but it sounds like they're going to leave room to honor any future in-season championships on the same banner.
Oh, I get it.
Oh, it's
Add
like a high
year.
school thing,
right,
where you win CIF.
Right.
And okay.
Instead of having one individual banner, you're just going to add numbers to it.
Even they know this.
As if they're going to win 17
I was going to say, even
things.
they know this thing's kind of stupid.
Boy, are they arrogant.
Tony...
Not as arrogant as the bang, 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 bang.
Tony, you're the Laker fan.
Some arrogance.
Should they hang a banner?
Now that I understand how they're hanging the banner, I'm okay with it. It's not like the championship banners that get a whole section. It's just, this is almost like a footnote. We won this tournament, in-season tournament, in this year.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Originally, when I heard, I was a little disappointed because, as Kobe once famously said, we don't hang conference championship banners or division banners. We only hang championship banners. So technically, it's a championship banner, not the championship banner.
Oh, is that the pushback?
Yeah. Is that
really?
They only hang championship banners.
Oh, I just thought they honestly didn't think it was that big of a deal.
No, the thing is they don't hang anything but championship banners. But I like that they're distinguishing between championship banners and in-season tournament banner.
Right. Okay. Chris, what do you think? Should they hang one?
Sure. I will say this. If the Indiana Pacers had won that game, they would have draped a banner over the entire arena. I mean, what the hell has Indiana ever won? So that might have been the biggest deal ever to happen.
That's a great point. It would have been like a blanket for the arena.
No, I think it's good. Yeah, you put it up there. It's an achievement. Why not?
All right.
Plus, the NBA is happy that you're doing it because you're adding a little legitimacy to the tournament.
I was just about to say, I wonder if the NBA kind of hey, You guys,
Yeah,
wanna,
Poke,
like,
poke.
put-
You guys are
yeah.
gonna put one
put
up, right?
something up.
Poke,
Yeah, do
poke.
something. Yeah.
Number 2.
NBC Sports is seemingly phasing out Al Michaels for good after announcing he will not be calling any of their playoff games this NFL postseason. It comes as a surprise to Al Michaels because he told Andrew Marchand of the New York Post in November he thought a playoff game was a part of his contract, but I guess not. He's not going to be doing it. Al Michaels does not want to go quietly and is continuing to work, even though some in the industry do not want him to work anymore, and they're starting to phase him out. Chris, is Al Michaels being phased out by sports media?
Ageism once again. I mean, because I'll tell you one thing. I had to watch him on the Friday Thanksgiving Black game against
Friday game.
Yeah, Miami. Still sounds good to me. I don't. Maybe he's lost a touch off his fastball, but Al Michaels still calls a solid game. He doesn't overreact. He doesn't lose his mind out there. His style's pretty good. I think people love him from what he's done in his career. I mean, they're going to bring. I think it's Iron Eagle's son is going to take
He's
the
going to
game.
do one of the games,
And I think he's a good broadcaster, but he's not to the level of an Al Michaels. This is total ageism, and this is why I don't like to tell anybody how old I am, because there's only one reason they're telling Al Michaels he can't do this game is because he's old.
Well,
it's not because he can't do the job.
There are reports
he's doing
that
it every week.
He is not. He's being negative about the
I
product.
was going to say, I wonder, has his mouth cashed a check that a certain part of his body can't cash?
Because every week he talks about how bad the games
He was
are.
talking quite spicy there for a while, but I do agree with Chris. He hasn't really lost much, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I still hear, the same guy who I've heard over the years. Maybe it's not as witty as it was as an earlier years, but I still think he does a job. I do think part of his mouth has put him in this position where they're not as friendly towards him doing the playoff stuff now.
Yeah.
Because maybe he was a little. I mean, he was saying how he didn't like doing some of the games.
Like that. Because I want to.
I know
hear
you
that.
like it.
I
but
love it.
His bosses may not have liked
Because all of us at home are thinking the same thing. This game stinks, and Al Michaels is saying what we're thinking.
Yeah, no.
I can't wait to hear what Al says about this Thursday night's game.
Oh man,
Chargers, Raiders. Whew, boy.
That's really bad. Aiden O'Connell versus Easton Stick.
We've had a couple weeks in a row now where backups have ruled the day.
Yeah. All right, we're at the end. I'm trying to think of what I want to do. Well, Philadelphia Eagle Malcolm Jenkins. No, I can't start. I can't
carry
start.
it over.
But yes, we're going to carry over on Malcolm Jenkins. He started a restaurant business. I want to find out something, or he joined a business that has fast food restaurants, and I want to find out something from you guys. Also, if you have missed it, there was a big signing reportedly in Major League Baseball today that's going to hurt Padres fans' feelings. And we'll tell you who that is when we get back on 97.3 The Fan.
5:01 is the time. Chris Hello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby, in the Odyssey Palace Studios here in San Diego, California. Of course, you can watch also on YouTube. Search for 97.3 The Fan, and you can watch the proceedings unfold right before your very eyes. Skraby's got to finish up his Big Five. Before we get to that, a couple of quick notes to update you on some of the goings-on around the sports world today. Skraby mentioned it going out, but the Padres will not be getting Korean center fielder Young-Hoo Lee. That is because the Giants apparently have signed him to a 6-year, $113 million contract. Jeff Passan of ESPN, who has never been wrong, is now reporting this along with everybody else who is reporting it before him. So it is certainly looking like a done deal. The Giants over the previous 2 seasons tried to sign guys like Aaron Judge and Carlos Correa, but it never happened. So this time they go all in on Lee, who owns a high lifetime batting average of 340 in the Korean baseball organization. That is the same place that Ha-Seong Kim originated. And as Tony points out, Ha-Seong Kim couldn't hit a fastball for 2 years when he got to San Diego. You know, whether or not Lee can do it or not remains to be seen, but you're making $17 million a year on average. Ha-Seong Kim wasn't making that kind of money.
No, what was Ha-Seong making? 6, I think?
6 or 7, yeah.
So this kind of
guy
money
better start hitting right away or the Giants are going to feel duped.
Yeah, in the article, in Jeff Passan's article, Lee's elite contact ability should help him transition to the majors. Hitting from an open stance, I won't get into that part. Lee struck out 5.4% of the time over the past 2 seasons compared to the KBO average of 18.2 and the MLB average of 22.7. But here's the kicker. Some evaluators believe Lee has the speed to play a solid center field, assuming he returns from ankle injury without any issues, while others project him as a right fielder, which puts more pressure on the bat. His lack of power this year was accompanied by a ground ball rate of around 60%, which would be higher than any MLB regular in 2023 except Tim Anderson. Now, here's where my concern would come in.
Those are analytics, Tony. Very good.
60% ground ball rate is extremely high.
No ground balls go out of the ballpark.
And when you're facing, and this is velocity that is like in the high 80s, low 90s. When you start coming when you come to the States and you're facing on average, 95, 96?
Right.
Getting the ball off of the ground becomes even more difficult.
Even harder, huh?
Right. So it's going to be interesting to see because apparently Lee has, unbelievable bat to ball skill. So we'll see how
he hit the ball. Yeah, it's just a matter of where he's going to hit it.
We'll see how this transitions for sure.
Yes.
I have a tweet from Bob Nightingale saying the Toronto. No, it's nothing.
Is Bob about to yell
I
at us
know.
again?
I've dug myself into a hole with
Bob Nightingale. Wait, is Hung-Ho Lee sleeping or is he awake? Bob?
He's sitting with him at lunch right now in Korea. The Toronto Blue Jays, Chicago Cubs, and San Diego Padres all had expressed strong interest in Lee before he signed a 6-year deal with the Giants. Center fielder Cody Bellinger now squarely on those teams' radar, along with the Giants. So the Giants may not be done spending just yet.
We said that at the very beginning of the offseason, that they had a ton of money to spend. And
that's
what was scary for the
that's
Padres.
not surprising.
Right. And so I think it is, Bellinger being on the Padres' radar, that leads me to believe that the price tag may not be as high as
the 12 years, 250 that we were seeing reported.
Did we see that? I didn't see that one.
I saw some Cody Bellinger projections of like 12 years, 250 million.
Yeah. I think teams are going to be reluctant.
Somebody's going to have to pay that, not
go
the
that
Padres.
high. Yeah,
not
meaning that long too.
I wouldn't do it.
12 years. I don't even know how that's projected.
He hasn't been. He had the MVP season, and then last season really.
Yeah,
is where he got
in
it back
between.
going.
Man, those 3 or 4 years were dry for Bellinger.
I don't know that teams are going to be that comfortable. Maybe that's why the Padres are rumored to be interested, because maybe the price tag isn't as high.
In your professional experience,
I think
Tony,
it's going to go way up.
You think it's going to go up?
I do.
When a guy has a career like Cody Bellinger, and then so he's good, then he struggles, and then he's good again, like Do you think that he'll continue being good? I just don't understand how you can really judge what he's going to do.
I don't know that you can. I think you had the MVP year. And by the way, in that MVP year, the second half of that season, he struggled big time. So, I mean, he won it virtually on an epic first half and some change, but then struggled. And then the next year, he struggled. Then the next year, he struggled. Then he signed the 1-year deal with the Cubs, and he
came back to him.
It came back to him. So now when you start to say, all right, let's give you, we're looking for, multi-year deal. Do I trust that this is
multi-year deal means I'm probably going to get a couple of really bad years somewhere.
Do I trust that this last year and that MVP year are the years we're getting in that? Or am I leaving room for the case that might not be the case every year?
I wouldn't trust him, not for the kind of money Skraby's talking about.
I wouldn't trust him either.
But it does leave those, Bellinger, Bader are the free agents that play that position at a high level.
See, I wish we knew what AJ was
offensively. I don't
thinking.
know. Yeah, it's
so we can know that we don't need to worry about the outfield because they have it covered somehow.
And there may be a name in trade that we're not even thinking of at this point. So
there may be, but I think Lee was somebody that was really on their radar, and they didn't want to pay. I don't blame them. Giants overpaid, in my estimation. I know it's a little controversial when he was here, but now that he's not here, is it okay if I don't like Juan Soto that much anymore?
You didn't really like him in the first place.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm wondering if I'll have more support now in my non-liking of Juan Soto. He had his introductory news conference with the Yankees today. He was smiling when asked about putting on the Yankee hat for the first time and asked about signing a contract extension, said Soto, referring to his agent, Scott Boras. They always know where to call and who to talk to.
Good answer.
There you have it. So that's Juan Soto's contribution to his press conference in New York.
He didn't say he was sorry to all the pitching out there that was going to have to face their lineup.
Did that happen before?
Yes, it happened when we all loved it. We all ate it.
Oh, when he said it here?
Yeah, when Juan Soto said it in his opening day press conference, when he was like, I just feel bad for all the pitchers that are going to have to face us.
Yeah. Well, he didn't say that to say.
No, he
learned from his mistake.
He did not. All right, let me finish up the Big Five real quick. This is not an important topic or anything like that, but I did see this. I thought it was interesting. Former Philadelphia Eagle Malcolm Jenkins has always been a businessman, but now that he is retired, he is trying to expand his business portfolio. One of those expansions is something called Disrupt Foods, a multi-unit franchise developer and operator that encompasses over 20 quick service restaurants such as Papa John's and Wingstop. So the venture is intended to provide ownership opportunities specifically to minority, Malcolm Jenkins' website states. So that's good for Malcolm Jenkins. And if you want to go check out his businesses, go to his website. But if you, Tony, were to become a franchisee of a restaurant, what restaurant would that be?
Don't do that to me.
I know.
Means you can have as much of the food as you want, Tony, at any time.
You can't eat your supply. You can't eat your supply.
Why not?
Have you ever heard that? You never use your own product.
Oh, come on. It's a fast food place. You got so much food, you don't know what to do with it all.
The bottom line.
I think you're mixing other occupations with fast food here, buddy. That's a good question. What chains would I want to be a part of?
Got to be a chain?
You have to be able to franchise it in this world right now. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to take, I'm trying to think of a restaurant, Mr. A's, and franchise it now.
I mean, I listen, Wingstop is a good one.
Wingstop?
I like a Wingstop. In-N-Out Burger. There's not enough of those in the country.
Oh, you want to put one on the? I think. Do they have any rules against that?
I know they did at one point. They weren't going east, but they got one in Dallas. I know now.
Oh wow! In 2026, they're opening an In-N-Out in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, it's going to be selective. Those folks out there they can't get full dose of In-N-Out. They got to come out this way. I don't know. Chris, you go first on this one.
I want to take a Roberto's to Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh, Roberto. That's right. You love Roberto.
But that's not a good franchise for you.
What do you mean it's not a good franchise for me? I love Roberto's. It's
No,
the greatest thing in the history.
You love Roberto's, but do your customers love
Yes,
Roberto's?
if I find some sort of late night music place that serves some alcohol in Anchorage, Alaska,
that's where you
and
put
I
it right
order a
next to it.
Roberto's right across the street, and I burn my light bulb from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Brilliant.
I am making gazillions as soon as those Anchorage people discover Roberto's roll tacos with guacamole.
That is such a fantastic idea.
I think I would
there.
I'd break it in.
I'd break it in.
Give me a Roberto's in Anchorage.
I think that's the real answer right there. Is a mom and pop's Mexican food joint right next
It
to
might
a bar.
it might just cost too much to ship all the food up there to Anchorage. But man, because I'll tell you, I used to
it's
be
a great spot to put it in right there.
Seems
too.
like it. Yeah,
They don't have a Roberto's over there.
They think Taco Bell is the greatest Mexican food on the planet.
Ever.
Wait till they try one Roberto's burrito.
What are you
That'll
going
be
to
it.
put in the Alaska burrito?
Ooh, that's a special feature
Yeah,
right there.
you can't have a
for
California
Anchorage.
burrito.
Yeah,
You're
might
going
have
to
to
put
be
some
a fish burrito of some kind.
that does make sense. What about like some caribou or something? I don't even know.
Caribou burrito.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is a caribou like a deer? I think a caribou is like an elk, right? Oh yeah. Oh wow. Caribous are big.
They're huge. Yeah.
Look at this dude.
We'll only need one caribou to
My goodness.
last us for the first 5 years of operation.
A caribou burrito.
Yeah, Skraby, you're going to be my general manager, so you better figure it out.
Oh my! I cannot believe that I just made Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer into a burrito
Yeah,
because
you
caribou are reindeer.
Yeah, that's what they are, buddy.
That's disappointing. It's gonna haunt me for the rest of my life now. A Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer
Killing the
burrito.
Rudolphs out of the world out there.
That was interesting. I didn't think you guys were gonna say that. I really
You didn't think I'd be ready for that.
That
one.
was good. I wasn't ready for it. That's
I
for
just
sure.
remember when I used to run around Anchorage and freezing late at night after a hockey game. I was like, man, I sure wish there was Roberto's here.
On the chat,
So-
Eduardo says, I agree with Chris. I don't understand why other states can't get Mexican food right. And then for the Alaska burrito, it's simple. We're just overthinking it. It's a fish burrito with French fries inside.
That's
Yeah,
it.
That's
That's
exactly what it
for
is.
California.
It doesn't
it's
need
just
to be
that
anything
fish.
different.
Right.
Very good.
Beautiful.
All right, we'll take a quick time out. We've got a lot
Caribou
more still to
burrito.
come. Our interview of the day. Skraby's going to go out in the neighborhood, search for some caribou. He just thinks you're walking down the street in Anchorage and caribou are everywhere.
You know, yes. Well, I've been to Alaska and I
check it out
saw.
by
It's a
caribou,
city,
dog.
Scrabe. It's a city. They got street lights and stuff. I mean,
Oh,
come on.
I was like, I
This
didn't
isn't
think I
the
was
middle
calling
of
it caribou.
nowhere.
No, I've been to Alaska and there are lots of those animals everywhere.
Not everywhere.
One thing that we didn't talk about yet, Seth Lugo. He
Paid.
has a new team.
Paid in the shade.
Tony dances for him.
Yeah. He got that money tree shade. It's just
Yeah.
He's just
Let's just
holding
put
his
it-
money tree.
Let's just put it this way. Seth Lugo might as well have just disappeared off the face of the earth.
that also is true. That also is true. But the man is a good businessman because he opted out of an 8.5
Yeah.
deal.
He got some money. We'll tell you where after traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Vicky Pepper.
125 south of the 94, an earlier crash in the clearing stages. You still might see some residual slowing from Fletcher. 163 south of the 8, a wreck on the shoulder, adding about 10 minutes to
phone. Wizards and Capitals owner. How do you say Ted Leonsis?
Leonsis, I believe.
Ted Leonsis plans to move both franchises out of downtown D.C. and into Northern Virginia. And that's according to Woj. So,
okay.
There could be some movement there.
That's
much like the Niners moving out of San Francisco into
the Bang Bang Niner Gang.
You're absolutely right. They moved to Santa Clara.
They moved to Santa Clara.
I don't even know why you root for them anymore, honestly.
Bang Bang Niner Gang.
Not even your team.
It's hard.
Not even your team any longer. The Commanders, formerly the Redskins, moved out of downtown D.C.
They did
many years ago to Landover, Maryland. So that's not really shocking.
Right. Now, this is
they get out of there.
This is in those same lines of Golden State Warriors moving out of Oakland, moving to San Francisco, basically.
Right. I got to tell you, one of my favorite shows to watch when I'm on a road trip, and I watched 4 episodes the other night, is that Peyton's Places on ESPN Plus. I know you got to pay a little extra, but
it's worth it.
I think he really does a great job on that show. And I mentioned this a few weeks ago. There is one episode this season about Air Coryell. And I think any, great San Diego Charger fan who remembers that era, and most of us do, would really get a kick out of seeing that show. Fouts is on there, and Kellen Winslow and Wes Chandler and Charlie Joyner. Charlie Joyner, who, by the way, is so underrated, it's not even funny. I mean, I don't remember anybody. It seems like when anybody talks about the Air Coryell days, they talk about Fouts, they talk about Jefferson, they talk about Chandler, they talk about Winslow. Totally leave out Charlie Joyner. He had all of the receiving records when he retired. Yards, catches, everything. And he was the glue, I thought, that held it all together. But, just to look back on the career of Coryell and how appreciated he was. And then, of course, the segment finishes up with him finally getting into the Hall of Fame after, way too long of a wait. Really a great show. And Peyton Manning does a really fun job with that. So I recommend to all of you Charger fans, if you have ESPN Plus, make sure you watch it. You'll like it. You will like it.
I don't know if you guys saw this. Just one little quick note on the Ohtani situation. Apparently, he had written in the contract that they basically have to use that deferred money, or the money that he's deferring. They have to use that money to actually put towards the team.
Yeah, right. Why would you agree to it if they were just going to pocket the money?
Right. I don't know if there's actually an enforceable way to do it, but
that's right. They could say we tried to get everybody, we just didn't get anyone.
Right. But I just find it interesting that he was willing to go this far, But also at the same time, understanding that teams will be teams. Like, I'm going to need you to put it in writing, though, that you're going to actually use this money on the team.
I think we're at that. The other day I needed someone to put something in writing, but I didn't want to ask them to put it in writing because it was awkward. And then I thought, I'm going to hate myself
if I don't ask you to put it in writing.
And I need it in writing. So I asked, and it was awkward.
Ain't nothing wrong with being a little awkward for 10 seconds of awkwardness to make sure your sanity is good there at the end.
That's true. That's true.
I forgot what you wanted. Seth Lugo.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's employed.
He's employed for 3 years. As Chris said, you might not hear from him again because he's out in Kansas City. Yeah. Now they got great barbecue.
Where baseball players go to basically enter the golden age.
I mean, at this point,
it's over.
It hasn't been.
I love Seth Lugo. He did a great job here, but we're not going to hear of him. That's it. I mean, can anybody name a Royal on it? Just right off the top of your head. All right. Sorry. Name 2.
Salvador Perez.
That's it.
He's retired, isn't he?
You can't name another one outside of Seth Lugo.
You're right.
Yeah. I can't either, and I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to think too. Is Zach Greinke still on the team?
I'm pretty sure he's retiring because they gave him a whole standing his last start there.
I don't know if Salvador Perez didn't retire either.
I think he's still there.
Those are the only 2
Well,
Royals
being on the Royals and retired is the same thing.
It's okay not to know anybody. I mean, this team lost the second most games in all.
There's one guy you love, Skraby, that's on the Royals, and you know who he is.
Franmil?
No, Vinny Pasquantino.
Oh, Vinny Pasquantino.
Yeah, you love him.
I do love him.
Yeah.
But 3 years, what was it, 45?
Yeah, it's a good deal. He would have got
15 a year.
Yeah.
He was going to get 8.5 if he would have taken his.
So he's getting 15. Doubled up.
Yeah, he did.
Good for you,
Good for
Seth.
He earned it. He really did.
Enjoy yourself. But again,
eat some barbecue for me.
I don't
check out the.
I don't
the Negro League
begrudge
Museum
that.
too,
I don't begrudge that. But isn't there a certain amount of fun that you have playing in games that matter, as opposed to just going through the motions of a whole season every year?
In his defense, he has played in games that have mattered and have done it for a pretty cheap amount.
All
so,
right.
in his case, he's over 30. This is his one.
34.
This is his one big opportunity to get the bag.
Setting his family up.
Yeah.
For
So
good times.
I can't be great. Listen, if you guys spend 3 years in Kansas City to make $45 million, I think all of us are doing it. I really do.
I'm taking $1 million. I'm taking $1 million to go to the Dodgers.
I'm going before they even get out where I'm going. We're going to give you $45 million to go.
Yes, please.
They're like Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I don't care. Give me my 45 mil.
I'm gonna buy the dopest land in Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
I know.
The dopest land.
I'm gonna build it in and out on it.
There's gonna be all kinds. I might not have to ever leave at that point.
Yeah. I know one thing you wanted to talk about today, Tony, that we can duck in here before we get to the bottom of the hour. Caitlin Clark has dreamed about it her whole life. You wonder what it is that she's dreamed about?
Got that NIL.
Being an NIL sponsor for Gatorade.
I think that's. I don't know. I shouldn't say this because I don't know what Gatorade is paying.
I hope it's paying her a bunch of bank.
It's certainly a good look to be repping.
She's the one player in women's collegiate basketball. I guess you might tune in to see the Angel Reese saga. But other than that, Caitlin Clark, everybody knows who that is. People watch Iowa games now. Women's basketball is getting more and more on the map because of people like Caitlin Clark. So good for her.
Yeah, no,
to get
she
this.
cashed in on that, and
yeah,
it's kind of weird to me that maybe she did, and this is just the first public notice of it, but kind of weird that she didn't have an NIL deal before.
Yes, I was a little surprised.
Me too.
I thought she would have already been in there.
This seems like it's
how is Angel Reese making like millions of dollars and she's not making anything?
Well, we don't know that she doesn't making anything.
We don't know that.
But she wasn't with Gatorade. Paige Beckers from UConn is also with Gatorade. So
they just did a whole sweep of the best players in college basketball.
That's what they do. That's what they do. I mean, with all due respect to all my lovely young ladies on the Aztec women's basketball team, they're not going to select one of them and give them $1 million. Unfortunately, I wish they did.
Yeah,
that would be nice. One other thing before we go to break. So yesterday we meant to get to this, but we didn't. The announcement of the start times for the Padres games in Korea against the Dodgers.
Hit me with him. How
first
early?
The tweet was very obnoxious, and it was all about you will get to see Shohei Ohtani's debut with the Dodgers. They didn't even put the Padres in there like they were playing the Padres, and made me angry.
That's not true. I saw the same thing.
No, the tweet that I have from
I thought you were
ESPN
talking about
person.
the press release.
No.
The press release included Manny Machado and the Padres. Had no mention of some guy named Fernando Tatis Jr., who I used to think was worthy of promoting. What do I know?
So anyway, the games are going to be on ESPN, and they are. I don't know. Do you know? I don't think Tony knows this, but do you know if Don and Mudd are going?
That is a good question.
Because it's going to be blacked out here in San Diego on ESPN, and they start at 3 a.m. local time. Because that is how the time works.
Why are they blacking this out?
Because you have to go through your local sports. What is
I'm going to have to watch on MLB.com.
No,
or
you
something?
can probably watch on the.
But if Don
I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah, because there's no Valley, so I don't know
the
what
Padres broadcast,
which is held on by MLB.
You can watch that. You could probably also watch the home broadcast for the Dodgers, but here in San Diego, according to what I read yesterday, we are going to get those games blacked out on ESPN because of the local issue.
I'm not sure if Don and Mudd are going. I know I'm going.
So it will be on radio.
You will hear it.
Has Dave Marcus made his decision on me yet?
I'm going to go on a limb and say Dave Marcus hadn't even thought about actually entertaining your suggestion.
He said that a long plane ride like that is not good for him, and I volunteered to go in his place.
Yeah, but I also know Dave doesn't like to shake things up at all. He's definitely not finna ask.
I don't think
for
he would
you.
trust you.
He definitely wouldn't trust you in this situation.
He would. Yeah, he would trust me.
You think? Oh, he would be blowing your phone up. You'd be so stressed out.
I'd be like, "Sorry, Dave, I'm in Korea. I can't get. I don't have service."
He would be up and at him.
Both games start at 3 a.m. though. You're right, Skraby. Wednesday,
Yes.
March 20th, Thursday, March 21st, 3 a.m. start time.
I bet Major League Baseball loves that Ohtani's first games will be televised here at 3 a.m.
They're gonna find a way to
be
move
6 a.m.
those
on the
games.
East Coast at least.
Oh, at least
a little better.
They might complain about having to get up too early for that one. They don't
Right.
like staying up too late. They don't want to get up too early.
This MLB doesn't know what they're doing. They're gonna make him play too early. They're gonna make him play too late.
East Coast is never happy.
Neither are we.
That's true. Let's get to break. We'll finish this bad boy off when we return. More Gwynn and Chris.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Payday is one of those very deviant
right, welcome back. 5:38 is the time. Lakers are in Dallas. Tony's behaving himself because the show's on YouTube stream these days. If it wasn't, he'd be kicking and screaming a little bit more than he is. Lakers are down by 12. Late second quarter. Of course, it's the NBA. 12-point spread. Oftentimes means nothing. See, now it's a 10-point spread. Just like
literally every time I turn my head, they cut the lead. And as soon as I turn and look at the screen, it goes up to 15.
Let's test this theory.
I'm not looking.
Oh, you're not going to look. Okay.
Nope. Not going to look? Ooh.
That's the best play I've ever seen. Wow.
Tony.
Incredible.
So mean. So mean to do that to somebody.
The Mavs are just standing there running out.
I just hope that your TV goes out in the second quarter of the Super Bowl this year.
You're good.
You can't watch the 49er game. Then we'll see how fun it is to not know what's going on in the game. 71-61 Mavericks. Looks like they'll be the halftime score unless something happens in the final 0.2 seconds. Luka Doncic, by the way, has my award for the biggest complainer in the league. I've only watched for about a minute and a half, Tony, and all he's done is complain the entire time.
Luka complains a lot. There's a reason why he's tops in the league in technical fouls. He's having too many conversations with
he just never shuts up.
They don't want to hear it.
Never shuts up. I don't want to hear it, and I don't even have to hear it. Vikings are going to start Nick Mullins. Speaking of 49ers, he'll get the call against the Bengals on Saturday. Boy, the backup quarterbacks around the league, right?
They're getting some run right now.
Yeah, backup quarterbacks are getting a lot of work. And the latest will be Nick Mullins against the Bengals. Tyreek Hill, by the way, came up with a day-to-day on his ankle from Coach Mike McDaniel. I think that's pretty good news for Miami. Because if he had a high ankle sprain and had to miss any time, we talked about this earlier in the show, but the Dolphins without Tyreek Hill are not very good. I mean, frankly,
did you guys
we
hear
could see that last night.
Did you guys hear what he said about his ankle after the game? He said he got up and he was feeling like it was okay. He heard the crowd chanting MVP. He ran off the field and then he sat down. He was like, "Man, my ankle hurts."
Yeah. Well, his wife apparently sent him some texts from the stands.
Like, you better get back in that game.
Told him to get him back in the game.
That's hilarious.
He did return to make a couple of catches, but Miami was nowhere near the same without Tyreek Hill. Let's see. We mentioned this earlier, but one more time before we get to our interview of the day. Matt Ariza, the former punter, San Diego Stater, drafted by the Buffalo Bills. All of the charges now have been completely dismissed. The lawsuit has been completely dismissed. And so hopefully now the 23-year-old Ariza can resume without impunity his professional football career. All right, Skraby, interview of the day coming up with Matt Snyder of CBSSports.com. It follows traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Vicky Pepper.
So I'm looking at this traffic map and saying all this red everywhere, and I just think this is the traffic that San Diego is famous for. 52 east at Santo, a disabled vehicle in the second lane from the left. 163 south at Friars, a wreck on the shoulder. Then at Park, a crash just cleared from lanes there. In North County, 78 east at Center City, a collision in the right lane. I'm Vicky Pepper with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Let's jump to our phone lines. Our guest, Matt Snyder, CBS Sports, joins us. Matt, I'm sure you've heard about this Shohei Ohtani contract at this point, and a lot of people.
No, what is it?
Yeah, apparently he signed this big $700 million deal and deferred $680, and people are losing their minds about the deferral part.
Yeah,
now,
but he's going to lose his mind when the Dodgers go bankrupt, Matt. You just wait. They're not going to get his money.
For our listeners, and maybe you can help help some of the folks out here understand the deferral, right? He's making $2 million a year through this contract. However, there's still although not $70 million worth, still pretty hefty price tag that's put onto the Dodgers, right? They're paying, I think it's 48. How does the math here?
I don't know exactly, honestly, like how you end up with, because the luxury tax is supposed to be figured on average annual value, right? And that 10 years, $700 million average annual value is $70 a year. but it's something like 46.2 is what's going to count against the Dodgers for luxury tax. I honestly, I don't know how that all comes together there with the deferrals. I'm not like thankfully we don't have like an NFL salary cap, and I wouldn't have been a salary cap guy anyway. I'm more like, hey, let me break down Hall of Fame cases. I don't need to get to the money.
Do you see the same issue that some folks see with this deferral money and it helping the Dodgers? I don't either. I'm trying to see what I'm just trying to see
because it's not, and that's the thing. It's not a hard salary cap, first of all. Second of all, Ohtani is essentially costing himself money by delaying those payments for years in advance when there could be a bunch of inflation, but there's no interest added on or no extra dollar value. If he would have had the 10,700, evenly divided throughout the years or even front loaded, that's a lot more money to him in the long run than it is the way he's doing it. So he's actually costing himself money by doing that. And he's not doing it so much to circumvent the luxury tax, which again, it's not a hard salary cap. So who cares? That's just money out of the Dodgers pocket. And the Dodgers ownership has plenty of money. But he is trying to do like, you guys will have more money out of your pocket to spend in the current on free agents. And that is, it's relatively speaking, let's not paint him as Mother Teresa or anything, but that is kind of noble.
Right.
Matt, I want to ask you about Friday. From your perspective as a reporter that's out there always looking to break a story, what kinds of things did you hear Friday? Did you believe, as many did, that he was actually headed to Toronto? Were you not quite buying that? Take us through those 24 hours from your perspective.
I thought it got all kinds of stupid. I will say, honestly, I did think that he was probably going to Toronto, but I did not think it was to announce a signing because it didn't make sense to me that he had to be there to announce a signing. I thought, because remember the start of the previous week, Monday, which was the winter meetings, there was reporting, and it was essentially confirmed by the Blue Jays that he toured their spring training facility in Florida, but he had not visited Toronto yet. So I thought he was just visiting Toronto. And then when there was that report that Kikuchi had like a reservation for 50 at a sushi restaurant, I forgot about that one. Yeah, I thought, again, if that is actually lining up with it being Ohtani, that seems reasonable. And that totally lines up with him just visiting Toronto and not signing a deal. So I thought, I was even trying to say to some of our editors, like, settle down. He's not signing with the Blue Jays today. I think he's just visiting. Sure enough, I looked like a genius then when he signed with the Dodgers the next day. But I wasn't saying any of this stuff publicly because I wasn't sure. Not a great look on the people who went a little crazy and thought it was legit. I also honestly don't think it was a great look for some other members of the baseball media to go crazy and act like it's such a terrible day by the baseball media world. There were like two people made mistakes. And at least John Morosi, who is legitimately one of the nicest guys in media,
no doubt,
straight up owned it, apologized right away, was completely accountable about it. It's not the end of the world, man. I mean, I'm sorry that some Blue Jays fans got their hopes up, but such is life.
Yeah, no, and JP did the same thing here today. He released his apology, and these things happen. These aren't the first two to ever do it. They won't be the last two, certainly, to ever have one of these things go the wrong way. Now, let's talk about the whole idea that Shohei had basically a gag order. There was a lot of people up in arms in that, but in essence, you can make the argument that it ended up getting to a number that maybe we didn't think of because of that. No teams had any numbers to compare it to. It was just the teams that we knew. This is the first time that I can remember us not having a number to base this off of.
So the game that is usually played, and the best at it is Scott Boras. You always mysteriously see a leak that it's always a Boras client, right? Yeah. Oh, I'm hearing now the offer is over $220 million. And not only is it teams X, Y, and Z, but there's a mystery team involved now. Yeah, the mystery team is Boras Corp. Come on. The thinking was always, and it makes sense, if a team really wants a player and they see a number out there higher than theirs, then they will offer higher than that number. This might reset the curve there in terms of nobody knew, so maybe the Dodgers kept going higher and bidding against themselves just to make sure nobody beat them.
Yeah.
It's possibly a new way to think about it. And like, I have cautioned people on a lot of the reactions to this. Like, let's not go crazy with, hey, this sets precedent for this, and this, because who else is Shohei Ohtani?
Right.
I mean, nobody else is a Cy Young caliber pitcher and one of the best sluggers in the league. So it's not like we can say, oh, there's going to be so many more guys approaching 700 million. No, there aren't. Not for decades. But as you mentioned, I hadn't even thought about it before, but it's a great point. The bidding process, maybe that will start to become more of the norm because it probably worked.
Matt Snyder, CBS Sports, is our guest. Obviously, Ohtani is the big news in baseball. My last question on him, take us through the Dodgers now for the next year or two. I mean, what are they going to look like? What are they going to do with him as a pitcher, in a couple of years? I mean, they're getting 2 superstars if he ends up coming back to pitch. They
need those, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, where else do they still need help? Or, I mean, because people are just like giving them the championship right now. And I don't know that that's not a jump in the gun a little bit. Yeah.
No, they can't be done yet, because if you look at the rotation right now, remember, Ohtani can't pitch this year. Walker Buehler is coming off Tommy John surgery. Then you've got Bobby Miller, who was a rookie last year and didn't get to 125 innings. It was like 124 in third. Their number 3 right now would be Ryan Pepio, 78 innings of MLB experience. After that, Ryan Yarbrough should probably be in the bullpen. Emmett Sheehan, rookie, hit or miss. Then it's Gavin Stone as their 6th starter. They need probably 2 starters if they need to get where they're going to be. I do expect them to be all in on Yamamoto. Then they'll probably trade, maybe they trade for somebody like Corbin Burns or Shane Bieber or Tyler Glasnow. But as currently constructed, they do not have a rotation. Also, the back half of that lineup, okay, so let's be clear. Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, ridiculous. Absolutely absurd top 3 in the lineup. One of the best we've ever seen. It's 3 MVPs in the same lineup. But then you get Will Smith and Max Muncy. Pretty good to really good hitters, depending on how they're going at the time. The bottom of the order, James Outman, Chris Taylor, Jason Hayward, Gavin Lux. Lux coming off the torn ACL. Still haven't really seen him break out. A lot of question marks there, and they had a top-heavy offense last year, and they failed in the playoffs. And let's remember, Shohei Ohtani is not replacing all zeros in the lineup. He's replacing JD Martinez, who was an all-star DH who had a really good year last year with 33 homers and over 100 RBIs. So I do think that they're going to get 2 starting pitchers. I do think they're going to go into the year as the best team in baseball and the World Series favorite. But I don't think that we should be going crazy and acting like they're the best team in baseball right now, or it's automatic that they're going to win it all.
They certainly have a lot of holes now. Typically, the Dodgers, the way they operate is those young pitchers that were okay to above okay get better the following year, and maybe that fills the hole. Maybe that's what they're thinking, but they certainly.
But they'll also be careful with their workload.
That's right. That's right. They'll certainly kind of baby them, as we saw them do Urias for quite some time there in LA. Who do you think the next domino? It seems like Yamamoto is the next domino to fall, followed maybe by Blake Snell. How quickly do you think this comes together in either case here in the next couple of weeks?
Well, Yamamoto's got a date on it. It's not until January 4th, but he does have to sign by January 4th or else he can't come to Major League Baseball this season. So I do think that they don't want to get up against that deadline, and it seems like the rumors are starting to get hot around him. So probably Yamamoto and then Snell after that. I thought maybe Cody Bellinger would be the next position player to go because he's the biggest name left, but he's also a Boras client, and I know there's a lot of questions about how real his offensive bounce back was last year in terms of can he sustain it moving forward. And when that's the case, it leads me to believe that Boras will believe Bellinger's offers are lowballing them, which means he's content to wait into January and February and hopefully not March. But maybe Matt Chapman on the position player side. There are several teams that have some deep-ish pockets that could use third baseman help right now. Maybe the Mets, maybe the Cubs. We'll see what the Blue Jays do. I think they'll probably pivot to Cody Bellinger. Those are the biggest ones right now who should go next.
Matt, who should the Padres sign given what's available, given their situation after the Soto trade? I don't know that there can be set on their starting pitching yet because I don't know that they can guarantee any of these Yankee guys are gonna slot in other than Michael King. They now need a center fielder and a left fielder because they traded Grisham and Soto.
Yeah.
So where should they be looking based on what's out there?
Well, on the starter, and I've mentioned him before with you guys, and I still think it's worth kicking the tires on Lucas Giolito and seeing what kind of deal is being offered. If the Padres are comfortable with the payroll enough to do something like a 1-year, $20 million deal on Giolito, I don't know if they would want to do that, but it's only a 1-year commitment. That would be something to try to reestablish value, not unlike what Cody Bellinger did with the Cubs last year. You reestablish your value on a 1-year deal after a terrible year, then you hit free agency again. That's something that could be mutually beneficial. In terms of position players, again, it's tough to know because you don't know how much money they want to spend. I mean, we've seen reports all over the place, but there are some cheaper guys who you could take chances on who could fill a gap. I don't know what Michael Brantley is going to get, for example, but that's somebody he's long hit for good average. He can play left field, but he's getting up there in years.
Yeah.
And he's been hurt a lot the last 2 years, so you don't know what you're going to get. But again, if you can't spend that much money, these are the kind of risks you have to take.
Yeah.
Because then you can get somebody cheaper, and then you hope that there's big upside there. He's probably the first one that comes to mind there. If you're looking at somebody similar to Grisham, glove first with some offensive upside, maybe Michael A. Taylor. Again, depending on how cheap you can get him, something like that could work.
Yeah, the Padres' options, or I should say holes, are plenty, and the options I think are few in terms
They're dwindling
of at that price tag. As always, Matt, appreciate you coming on, spending some time with us. We'll do it again, maybe in the next couple of weeks as more people come off the board.
Sounds good to me.
We appreciate
Take care, guys.
it, Matt. Thanks. Matt Snyder, our guy, keeping us all up to date on the latest goings on in Major League Baseball. Tomorrow we'll be back at it again at 2:00, a full 4 hours. By the way, I want to just say hi to anybody who's still watching the YouTube stream. Yes, I have a tie on. Crazy, isn't it?
My man cleans up nice.
Cleaning up to go out to a big holiday bowl director's dinner tonight.
The Redcoats are coming. The Redcoats are coming.
Yes. I didn't get invited. I always go in as my wife's +1. That's how I live my life. For Tony, for Skraby, Chris Ello here. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening. We'll talk to you mañana.
Peace.